2025. Still number one for news, sports, and entertainment. Truly, first in news, best in entertainment. For 28 years, we've been your voice, your stage, your story. TV3 at 28 years strong. Still number one.
Any general intent should hold our hands. We are working for one republic, one Ghana. The main perpetrator from our standpoint, the main perpetrator had no intention of returning back to the country. Of course, he had left the country earlier in the year during the transition. Now we should place this in proper context because we've attracted some flag that why did we allow him to go? Mr. Misa, he left before 7 January. Between 1st, I know the exact date, but I'm not going to mention it. All I'm saying is between 1st and 6th January, he had left. Who was in power during those few days? And we don't control the airports. We don't control the exit. The OSP doesn't control the exit points. But we are taking flag day in and day out. Why did we allow him? Let me put it this way. His cousin was president. Let's face facts.
Yeah.
Before John Dramani Mahama was sworn in on 7 January, Nana Akufo-Addo was the president.
Yeah.
That was his cousin. He had kept him in the office for more than 7 years. I'm saying when he left, the president was Nana Addo Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
At the time he left, we were not getting the cooperation at the time from other security agencies.
You weren't getting cooperation?
No, we're not.
You had asked for them?
Oh, we asked for all that, but we were not. It was as if there was a policy of block the OSP out. That was what we were facing, and that was the circumstances under which.
Well, that's the special prosecutor Kisi Ejabeng in that interview with KSM on his show earlier this week. He's fending off this criticism of he looking on and allowing Kenneth Anaya Okonkwo-Ofori-Atta to leave this country. When, to some who have criticized him, it was quite apparent that he will be a subject of investigation. So he should have made some effort and not allowed him to leave the jurisdiction. Well, the special prosecutor says, well, look, I mean, if we want to be fair to the fact, those who are criticizing him are being unfair. He's been putting out his point of defense or his narrative against those who hold that view. Well, after this interview, the others who are still going in for the jugular, that look, he has to be sacked or he should leave as special prosecutor. Others think otherwise. And that's the beauty of this conversation on this platform. Well, there are those who are of the view that beyond what has been said, a lot more can be done. Going forward, after the OSP's opinion has been put out, what next? That's on the minds of the many people. What next? That's the conversation that we'll be having this morning, because as we speak, Kenneth Ofori-Atta, we do not know when he's going to come to this country. Those who are still pushing that he should come in physically to be tried for this alleged involvement in 5 issues. The OSP listed 5 issues that he is looking for the former finance minister to come and answer. This week, SML has been busy as well, putting out their side of the issues. But we'll have a conversation. A team of journalists accompanying the Environmental Protection Agency on an anti-illegal mining mission, was involved in a serious road accident in the Ashanti region. Now, the operation targeted illegal mining sites around Obuasi, reportedly took a violent turn after the team was attacked by a group of miners, illegal miners, at Dajini, a community near Obuasi. So, under intense pressure, the EPA officers, accompanied by some military personnel and journalists, were forced to retreat. Their convoy made its way through Afari. The situation worsened, and there was a head-on collision. 2 journalists were in critical condition as at the time of this accident. We understand that they are recovering. They are responding to treatment. Our very own Ibrahim Abubakar was part of them. There was a journalist who was left with a head injury. Another had his thigh broken. Unfortunately, this was an attack by illegal miners. And this is not the first of the many attacks we've seen. In fact, earlier in the week, an officer with NIMOS, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operation Task Force, was also attacked. Well, the youth in this community say they did not attack this man, but the video evidence is what we're going to show you of what happened in the Bronikrom Hidium in the Ahafo region, of the reason why members of parliament are having to answer questions as to how exactly they were involved in this. We'll have a conversation this morning here on Key Point. The government has outlined what it is doing to fight Galamsey, but all of this is still not stopping illegal miners or illegal mining from taking place in this country. So what is not being done aside from what has been done so far? That's the conversation that we're having this morning. What is the missing link? What is the missing link that is emboldening these illegal miners? Stay with us on Key Point. Also this morning, a conversation on the Attorney General's, which we've seen over time, some accused persons agreeing to serve as prosecution witnesses. Well, the lawyers of Chemawun to me and others saying, look, this is unethical. It cannot be allowed to go on. Do they have a point? Is it unethical or it is legal? Especially because all of these persons who have come out to indicate that they want to serve as prosecution witnesses do so, they say, on their own volition and on their own accord. We would have a conversation this morning on the Key Point, so stay with us. It's a big discussion on a big Saturday morning like this with you as well. You're an integral part of the conversation. There are many ways you can join us. We're live on 3FM 92.7 on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. We're also on the Voice of London radio in the heart of the City of London and Voice of London television. Stay with us. My guests already trickling. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. We'll start off with the poll tracker after this quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com, on the Voice of London radio in the heart of the city of London, and Voice of London television, a number of radio stations across the country. This is the Poll Tracker. This is a segment on the show where it is data-driven. We rely on publicly verifiable data that you, our viewers, can also get and follow every step of the way. We're tracking a number of issues, be it politics, economics, anything, governance, illegal mining, and matters that are of concern to you, the Ghanaian people who are watching us. This morning, we have been tracking the progress, interventions so far in the fight against galamsey in this country. And we do this because, just like every other week, this week has seen not too good news, especially for even the Inky fraternity, journalists who were at the receiving end or victims of an attack by illegal miners on Environmental Protection Authority officials who were going around doing their work, all aiming at fighting galamsey in this country. Well, there's been a number of interventions, but why is it not deterring these illegal miners? That's the question that we're going to be answering this morning. Because government over time has been touting its interventions and the achievements so far, but yet we still see illegal mining going on. Where's the missing link? What's happening? So we'll show you how the heat map looks like in terms of the affected regions when it comes to illegal mining. We showed you the thousands of hectares of land that have been destroyed by illegal mining. Take a look at this, and we're bringing it home so you understand. The color codes that we have used to represent the various regions shows the critical areas where illegal mining is taking place. The areas that are high risk and the areas that are, in terms of the analysis, risky, and then moderate and low risk. The low-risk areas, OT, Volta, and the Volta region has been commended by many. The reference being the Volta Lake, which is still clean, according to the Water Resources Commission and the Ghana Water Company Limited. That's by far the only river in this country that has not been polluted. Even that, there's a part of the Volta River that is also at the mercy of illegal miners. Okay, so that's how the picture looks like. Then OT region and then Northeast region. These are the only three regions that have so far, at least, been categorized within that low-risk area in terms of galamsey. Then when you come to the areas that are moderate in terms of not too exposed to illegal mining, Savannah, Northern, and Upper West, Upper East. I'm not saying that illegal mining is not taking place there. The scale at which it is happening is not threatening, for the lack of better expression. But we've also recorded some cases in there as well in the past. You'll see the risky areas, Bono East, Bono and Ahafo. The incident that happened involving the officials of NIMOS, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Task Force, happened in one of these three regions earlier in the week, right? So we've seen this. We've categorized it as a risky area. Then in the high-risk areas, Ashanti region, Eastern region, Western region. Look at that. The very critical areas that we're talking about, you see the Ashanti, Eastern, Western region in the critical areas bracket, and for good reason, because a number of the cases of galamsey that we have seen happening in these three areas, Ashanti, Eastern, Western. In fact, Western, North, and Central region are in the high-risk areas or moderate risk areas. In fact, most parts of the Central region have been impacted by galamsey that is taking place outside of the region. In fact, galamsey is not taking place in Kwanyako, for instance, but the water treatment plant in Kwanyako has been heavily impacted by galamsey. That has led to its shutdown, which has affected a number of communities not having access to potable water. And it's affecting their livelihood, their health over a period. So that is the reflection of how things look like. And just to give you an idea of what we are dealing with, this is over 670 kilometers of land that has been destroyed as at the last time we checked. Well, that's twice the size of the central Accra. So think about it. The Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources, they are on a path to reclaim a number of these lands and then also ensure that they are put to good use. The current state of the fight against galamsey under this administration. We make reference, and this was put together by our 3 News research desk, Wisdom Safo and the rest of the team. But we reference Musa Dankwe's poll on the fight against galamsey under this administration. And this is what the respondents, almost 10,000 of them, said. 44% of them said it is unchanged. Well, they haven't seen much changes in the fight against galamsey. 38% say there's been some improvement. 10% say it's worsened. 9% say they have really no opinion on this matter. Right? But the reflection of this has also brought about the question of the improvement that has been seen and the interventions that have been put in place. What is missing? What is the missing link? Why is galamsey still ongoing in the midst of all of these interventions? The calls for the declaration of a state of emergency heightened at some point, and the president responded that he's been reluctant to declare a state of emergency in the galamsey fight because we have not exhausted the powers available to us without it. Well, there are many who agreed with him, others disagreed, but he's going on that path of not declaring a state of emergency as yet. Afterwards, we heard the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources talk about a declaration of these galamsey areas as security zones. Has that been implemented? Has implementation started in this regard? If that's the case, why are we seeing the illegal mining ongoing? Because the declaration of these areas as security zones comes with a certain security deployment. And that's a conversation we would have. We'll talk about it this morning. What you're seeing on the screen is when these EPA officials in the company of some military personnel stormed some of these illegal mining sites. You see the EPA boss there, Professor Brown Kluche, together with the team, and a number of them, together with the military. They discovered some excavators that were buried in the river bodies. They had blocked the river bodies. That's what you see there. So the river couldn't flow from that particular area to where it's supposed to be. They used the excavator to block the flow of the river. And we captured all of that on video. You see the excavators buried in there. This is it. When it comes to the key timelines and the milestones, and talk about the interventions that have been put in place by this administration, in February, we saw the blue water gas that was launched as one of the interventions as well. Then the establishment of NIMOS. And then we got an update that as of the first 6 months of this administration, a little over 1,345 persons have been arrested, 425 excavators seized. This was as of July. There were instances where the task force members of NIMOS were attacked. 2 officers were injured. So what we saw this week in FDM is not new per se. We've had a number of instances. Even Dr. Hanabishiu has been at the receiving end of some of these things. And then we've also seen now the EPA also being at the receiving end of it. What is emboldening these illegal miners to do what they are doing? Awula Sewa is one of the co-founder of Eco-Conscious Citizens. He's going to be joining us right now. We also have Martin Pebo, and Kofi Bentel. We also have Godwin Edoji Tamaklo and the Honorable Andy Apia Kubi, a former member of parliament for the Asante Achim North constituency. He's a private legal practitioner as well. Just follow me closely. Then there's the LI 2462 that now the process to repeal it is in motion in Parliament after the campaign by a number of environmentalists to have this done. There had been some interventions already to remove those problematic parts of this LI about 3 months ago. But for the environmentalists said, no, this cannot still be on our books. We want it off. Even though you've taken that power that the president will have, and Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources can still issue the licenses to mining companies to go into our forest reserves. That was taken off from this LI. But environmentalists said, this is not enough. Get it off our books. We don't want to see LI 2462. So it's off. Then, fast forward to this week, you've seen the assault on this EPA NIMOS team and colleague journalists as well. So, question is, this over 1,800 plus people who have been arrested as a result of their involvement in Galamsey, why is it not deterring people from engaging in illegal mining? Awula Sewa is joining us right now. Awula, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning to you and your listeners.
Perfect. If you could put your video on for me, that would be good. Now,
I'm sorry, my video.
Yes, right. And while at it, these are the excavators, chamfans, and water pumps that have been seized over time. Excavators, 551 of them and counting. Chamfans, over 479 of them. In fact, a number of them have been destroyed. This week, the EPA discovered a company that has been established by the Chinese manufacturing chamfans in this country, or fabricating chamfans in this country. So they closed down that company. Almost 300 water pumps also seized, distributed to the various assemblies to do something more meaningful with it. Motorcycles, gold detectors, trucks, generators, bulldozers. This is what we discovered based on the research on what the issues are and impacting on Galamsey, the fight against illegal mining in this country. The Attorney General indicated that this 48-hour rule is still one issue that they have to deal with. The resistance of the community, we saw it at least in this week, in this NIMOS case, and then a number of instances that we've seen. The Dr. Hannah Bishu case, where she was, together with the team, detained, essentially, from doing their work, arresting illegal miners. We've seen the IGP's task force that was set up to fight Galamsey, also having the same community resistance as well. So, what exactly can be done to deal with this? One of my guests who's going to be joining me shortly has indicated that for him, this is one of the major problems, community resistance. I thank you. Now, first off, if you can hear me. Now, the picture that we painted right now with this fight against Galamsey and where we are now, what is impacting this fight negatively? And I ask this because a number of interventions that government has indicated has been put in place. Some achievements have been made, but we still see illegal mining going on. Where is the missing link?
Well, you see, we need to have the political will, the commitment. Let me give you an example. You talk about the community resisting. You have communities which are interested in protecting their landscape. Look at the community in Atronsu. Over a month ago, an excavator came there. They were concerned because they have the Atronso stream, which is the only source of drinking water. Nemos doesn't have a number. The number we are giving does not go there. We're told it would. I called myself the number that had been given out on the Joy program. I myself called the number. An individual answered that it was his private number. He would get me the number. He didn't. So we tried to contact Nemos through third parties. We didn't get any joy until the one excavator was joined by 3 others, and they've polluted the Atronso stream. It's only a few days ago that the Minerals Commission Task Force went there. So the point I'm making is that Nemos is under-resourced. So even when communities are pleading with them, come and deal with the situation, they are unable to do so. And also, we have to ask ourselves, how can individuals attack the duty bearers? And what is the follow-up? When the IGP's men were attacked, what was the response? When when Dr. Hanabisu was attacked, detained from doing her work, what was the response? When the most recent incident, and I use this opportunity to say that we are praying for all those who are involved, all those who are in hospital, critical condition. We are praying for them. They are in our thoughts. What has been the response? Yet, remember, a short while ago, I think about 2 years ago, the people of La were walking around their lands to have a picnic. They were set upon by the armed forces, and some journalists were injured. Recently, we had the case in Ashiaman when I think a military man had his phone or something stolen. Look at the response of the military. And yet the IGP's men are attacked, trying to stop illegal mining, which is causing an existential threat. Most recently, the EPA's team was attacked. What has been the response? Yes, in many cases, the army may need to retreat and regather, but immediately you must go back and show that this kind of behavior will not be tolerated. And I don't mean to go back and brutalize people. That is not what I'm talking about. But there has to be a measured professional response. Otherwise, you are emboldening other environmental terrorists and telling them that if they show force, will retreat, run away, and they can continue doing what they are doing. So we need to resource NAMOS. They need to be able to have the resources to deal with the environmental terrorists. That does not seem to be the case as we speak. So that, for me, is the missing link. There's no number to contact them. Even when you are able to contact them through third parties, they are unable to move because they don't have the resources to do so. Take it as a fire. There are so many fires raging. They cannot be everywhere at once. So they need to go where they can. And the only way this can be changed is for them to have, to be better equipped and better resourced. And the political will needs to be there. We should stop making excuses for environmental terrorists. Oh, they don't have a livelihood. So because you don't have a livelihood, you are able to poison all Ghanaians, including yourself, because water is life. Because you don't have a livelihood, you are able to remove the livelihood of other persons, like the small scale, the peasant farmers, cocoa farmers whose trees are being destroyed. We have to stop this thinking and understand that criminality is criminality. Yes, government should do its job, but even where you don't have a livelihood, which is disputed, in certain cases, they've left livelihoods to go for what they believe is more lucrative. You can't be excusing it and saying that, okay, we're going to do cooperative mining. So I'm saying that the political will is not really there.
You're questioning the political will, but you say as well that there has to be, in your view, some measured, force in dealing with this, so that people are not brutalized. I mean, these illegal miners are not subjected to excessive force, essentially. But that NIMOS lack of logistics that you talk about, we identified it as one of the weaknesses as well. In the past few weeks, we've seen Gold Board and other institutions, donating pickups and others to help NIMOS do their work. The millions of cedis that the government had indicated they need to fight Galamsey, NIMOS doesn't have the resources as we speak.
Yes,
so,
let me come in here.
Yes.
Let me come in here. If the political will is there, as soon as we came into office, the political will was there to deal with the e-levy and the betting tax. We did not cause an existential threat. We went ahead and bravo, we've done it. Now, what is causing an existential threat? What is killing us? Water is life. We are all being poisoned. And let me say this here, Ghana water does not remove the toxins from the water. So even where the water we are drinking is clear, it doesn't necessarily mean it's safe. So
True.
civil society is asking that Ghana Water publishes the analysis so we all see what it is that we are drinking. So if you have the political will to deal with NAMOs, why is it not properly resourced? Why is it that when they go somewhere and they attack, they cannot get back up? You see, we have to ask ourselves how serious we are. We are not dealing with, people with a cutlass. We are dealing with some people who are heavily armed. And about a while back, I was giving the example of Latin America. It started like this, the drug cartels. Not much attention was paid to them. And now you have areas where even the army can't go. They become no-go areas. National security concern. So you cannot dilly-dally. If you have the political will, you need to properly resource NAMOS. And when they come under attack, something should be done about it straight away. The dilly-dallying is emboldening the environmental terrorists. And we are all at risk.
I see. But then, with all what has been done now, you say you still question the political will, and I'm pointing you to the interventions that have been made between February and now, and the achievement that government has been touting whenever this question of the political will is asked, that interventions have been made. And in fact, I've heard some of you, the civil society organizations, talk about what was and what is. Now, what else has not been done? Reason why the political will to fight galamsey is questioned right now, between February and now.
First of all, let me give the example of NAMOS. If you set up NAMOS and you don't resource it adequately, you are setting it up to fail. So the political will means that when you are setting up, because you came in January, and you knew before you came that we're facing an existential threat from illegal mining. One of the reasons why the past administration is no longer in power, because Ghanaians said we are tired of being poisoned. We are tired of being poisoned. We want an administration that will put an end to this mayhem. And that is why this current administration is in place. So it's not as if it's a surprise. You've known about it. So what systems were put in place that when NAMOS is set up, is going to be properly equipped to deal with the tanker. And then secondly, they don't even have a number you can reach them with. I've made that point over again. So I'm saying that a political will means that when you set up something, you give it the resources. Otherwise, we'll sit up and say NAMOS didn't work. It's not that it didn't work. It didn't have the resources with which to do the work it was mandated to do. So that's a very important point. Second of all, you talk about the blue water guards. We didn't need the blue water guards. As we speak, we all know where the Chanfans are. They are there in broad daylight. Talk to communities. They will tell you where they are. But why is it that we can't do anything about it? And we've seen the example with the EPA coming from a mission, seeing something going there, and we saw what happened to them. So again, it's not as if we need the intel to tell us where they are. Yes, in certain cases we do. But when we know where they are, what are we doing about it? Why is the Ancombra still diverted? Why are Chanfans still on our water bodies? Why is it that it took over a month of the community Natronsu reporting that there are 3 excavators? It started with 1 and then others joined, about to pollute our water bodies, and nothing was done. So we didn't need the blue water guard. The community itself reported. And what we need to do is when communities make complaints, we need to act promptly. We don't have to wait for the water bodies to be polluted before some action is taken. And with the people of Atron, so let me make this very clear. The activists are facing criminal charges only because they've been trying to protect their environment from environmental terrorists who haven't been charged, even though they managed to pollute the Atronsu stream. It's rather the activists who are facing criminal charges for allegedly burning 2 excavators which were being used to destroy the landscape, which charges they deny. So with this kind of double attitude, it's very difficult for communities to believe that they have the support of the duty bearers to help them in this fight against illegal mining, which is going to kill all of us. Confanoche Hospital tells us that the rise in kidney disease has gone up 4 times. Our food is not safe to be eaten. Our water is being poisoned. What are we waiting for to understand that we face an existential threat and we need to deal with it?
Well, Awula, stay with me. Thank you. Let me also welcome the Honorable Andy Apiakobe. He is a former member of parliament for the Asante Achim North constituency and a private legal practitioner. Andy Apiakobe, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, my brother.
It's good to have you join us.
Yes.
Now, your constituency, at least while you were MP, was a reference point for a number of people when it comes to the fight against Galamsey because of the local interventions. If I say local, the people themselves, the chiefs and yourself, had resolved that even though you had gold beneath your land, you were still not going to allow illegal mining. The situation is different now, at least, because we've had a number of cases of Galamsey taking place in Asante Achim North, Asante Achim Central. Even without, when you are driving by the roadside, you'll see the excavators there. You've seen them, haven't you?
Well, I've seen them somewhere, but indeed I haven't seen them in Asante Achim North. I have heard that currently some people are in the bushes between Juansa and Domiabra doing this Galamsey. Yesterday I heard of another attempt to go into the Afram place, and that is worrying. But I'm very disturbed to hear today that the community resistance is rather against state institutions coming to control the menace. That is disturbing because in my time, the community resistance was against the illegal miners so that we wouldn't allow them to come. But if you are staying around to support the illegal miners against state activists, then that's serious and dangerous. You see, if the society is turned against the state, then we have a problem there. We need to go back to society supporting state intervention or even prompting the state to come into their aid in warding off these illegal miners. The other way around cannot be tolerated, and it's a big shame. And it's happening with community leaders in support. The allegation is that in the Hafu area, even a member of parliament was rather also encouraging the community to
Well, he's
resist.
come out to deny that.
He's
it's
come
a
out
subject to deny. Yes, it's
Yes.
a subject of
That is
police
why I said
investigation.
there is an allegation.
Yes.
And I'm also told that the matter is being reported to the police and investigation currently ongoing. And I want to believe that they follow it up with prosecution to the end, and let's see what comes out of it.
And in fact, he was arraigned before court this week.
Yes.
He's been given 150,000 cedis bail.
Yes.
Yes.
That to me, that is a story in itself, because when people are alleged to have committed the same offense, they are hit with conditions of bail that are over and above the figures you are mentioning. How come that it's 150 for one person when it is 10 million for another person for similar offenses?
So are you saying that the bail condition, the bail amount was low in the case of the member of parliament who is alleged to have incited the youth? 150,000. What were you expecting?
Well, the standard they have set for offenders or accused persons in these areas are quite high. And I expect them to also maintain and make sure that they don't discriminate against accused persons from different parts of the country and for different sites. All of them.
Are you talking about your client, Chamaun, to me?
Well, he is one of the people also facing criminal charges in these areas. And then the bail conditions are public knowledge. So what I am saying is that if these are the standards they've set for themselves, then let the standards prevail in all situations.
But in this instance, you agree that the threshold for criminal charges in terms of their bail conditions cannot be compared to the threshold of the allegations of that have been slapped on the member of parliament. So why would you compare
abatement of crime conspiracies, they carry almost the same sanctions if you're proven guilty. So if you are a better or you are an instigator, or you are also in the same boat as the activists in the allegation. So I'm sure that we have to be consistent so that we know that we are fighting a cause that is to the heart of all people in Ghana. And when we are selectively prosecuting and selectively giving conditions, that does not help the effort.
I see. Well, Godwin Ejiti Tamaklo is a private legal practitioner, also the Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority, the Director of Legal for the NDC. He's joining us as well. Good morning to you, Counsel.
Good
Thank
morning,
you for joining
Alfred.
us.
But I believe that Counsel is no more the Director of Legal Affairs in the party. You are no more there.
I am.
You are a public officer now.
No, we will come to that. Most importantly, I just want to say good morning to my learned senior, and a good morning to your cherished viewers. And we are also on radio, so good morning to those who have joined us on radio. And my other co-panelists will be joining us.
Yes.
Whilst coming, I was listening to a few of the issues, and
but I want to start from where the appeal could be ended. It says you seem to be weaponizing bail. That in the case of this member of parliament who this week has been accused of inciting the youth, which he is denied, in what happened in Shiriem, 150,000 cedis bail amount was slapped on him with one surety. And he says that in other instances, in the same persons who are alleged to be involved in Galamsey, he references his own client, Chemawon, to me as well.
You did.
The amount is quite high. So why are you weaponizing bail conditions? Is that what's happening?
So first of all, I think the past 12 years that I've worked as a lawyer, everything that I've done has always been at the side of criminal defense. I have never had the benefit of asking any court to deny anybody bail. So I have always been a strong advocate for bail, and I do so with everything that I can marshal. And all the people that I've defended so far, I've always pleaded for bail. What is also not in doubt, and by which our learning, is that bail is solely at the discretion of the trial judge. And that in evaluating whether bail conditions or the nature of bail conditions, judges are minded to look at the nature of the offense, the nature of the punishment if the person is convicted, among others. And even more importantly, to check whether the person involved is flight risk.
Right.
All those are matters that a judge is permitted by law to examine and come into a conclusion. And judges, per their training and the skill set they have, are permitted, right, to exercise their discretion. More importantly, the avenue is provided for them, even when we disagree with the nature of bail conditions, to move further. I'm shocked and baffled a bit about the recent claim of weaponization of bail conditions. I find it a bit curious. My senior here talking, and I listened to him whilst here. The NDC MP, can he tell me the charge against him whilst here? What charge had been preferred against him in court? If you do not have the benefit of the charge, what the punishment for that offense is,
Allegedly.
the risk of him running away, that's a sitting member of parliament. that parliamentary thing is enough to even put him on self-recognizance. And the history is there of previous MPs who have gone through criminal prosecution and have been admitted to self-recognizance. That's a fact. 2, what exactly is the offense of the MP? So to try to link, and I can understand him. I mean, if I were to be in your shoes and I've had the benefit of defending a client, because you see, if you look at the Minerals and Mining Act as amended, the punishment for engaging in illegal mining activities, specifically the nature that his client is alleged to have, engaged in, the punishment is beyond 15 years. That's quite serious. And if you look at the drafting of the Minerals and Mining Act and the punishment thereunder, it is almost strict liability offense. Ask him. It is almost strict liability offense. And when I say it's like strict liability offense, the nature of the offenses under the Act is said that if they say you need license and you don't have it, no explanation. It doesn't lie in your mouth to say, like borderline. It is simply binary. It is either 0 or 1. That is the nature of accusation his client is facing. That is quite serious. I would not wish my client to be charged under the Minerals and Mining Act, because in 2019, the Act was amended to enhance the punishment. And that 2019 amendment of the Act, which enhanced the punishment, took the punishment at that time from 5 years to 15 years. Yes. And so by reason solely, even of that offense, every judge will be cautious in looking at the bill. And again, if you look at the offenses of, like I pointed out, it's almost strict liability. And that makes it extremely dangerous offenses under the Minerals and Mining Act. In the specific case of the NDC MP, do you know that as at the time he was taken to court, even his statement had not been taken? So any judge who has before him an accused person whose basic Miranda rights have not even been done, you expect that judge to impose the same bail conditions as Wontumi. That has never been the law. Regrettably, that has never been the law. And so please, if we have the benefit of public education, may we not respectfully provide a narrative that creates an impression that there had been something selective. Why? In terms of bail, I represent a very prominent Ghanaian in this country. Very, very prominent. At the risk of mentioning his name. Governor, deputy governor, became whatever. He was charged with criminal offenses. I represented him in court with my boss then. The court imposed a bail of 100 million Ghana cedis on him in this country. When you were in government, hold on, calm down.
I'm a private.
The MPP.
Yes.
By that time, he was even the deputy minister.
Yes, but I'm
no,
a private
wait.
legal practitioner.
I am saying that these were matters that you were privy to. When the judge imposed this 100 million Ghana cedis bail, I remember vividly. In court that morning, Madam Gloria Kufu, if I was in the afternoon, Madam Gloria Kufu was there, myself, my senior. We made a bail application. When we saw the 100 million, I said, oh, senior, this one is as good as a refusal. Mm-hmm. like we lawyers say, it's as good as a refusal because he ought to have been
You
justified.
cannot execute it.
So I remember right there in court, we were on our feet, praying the judge. We told him that, oh, my Lord, the ink in your pen has not dried out yet. So kindly consider the 100 million. Then the judge said, okay. And we made all the prayers that this is a very respected Ghanaian, fixed place of abode. Look at his age. He's not flight risk. He has dutifully served this republic in different capacities. Kindly admit him even to serve recognizance. The judge said no. Admitted him to bill the sum of 100 million Ghana cedis. Upon further prayers, then the judge said, okay, I'll review it to 65 million Ghana cedis. Right here. It was under the MPP. So, it was when Anado was president. No, I'm coming, hold on.
Can I?
Please, I'm coming, senior. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Land on that.
I'm coming. So I will. I'm just coming there. I'll conclude. I'll conclude.
The subject of the issue.
I remember, even when he brought it to 65 million Ghana cedis, we prayed that, oh, my Lord, do something about it. We ended up at 65 million. He said, look, we have the right to appeal his decision if we are not comfortable with the 65 million Ghana cedis. That's how we ended it.
I see.
And we quickly had to look for persons who can stand surety. I left that day, the court premise, 8 p.m. with my clients.
You see, in all
so
of this.
I am just saying that, you see, let not the impression be created today that somebody is weaponizing bail. No.
Specific reference to
I wish at a personal level that depending on who the person is, and if you can admit the person to serve recognizance, why not? What is important is to ensure the person's attendance to court.
That is
to face the charges preferred against. I've had clients who were given self-recognizance. I represented 2 MPs before. When the judge realized that they were MPs, he said, look, I will admit you to self-recognizance bail. Deposit your passport. And I recall vividly, my client was a member of the Pan-African Parliament. Anytime he needed to travel abroad, I had to go to the court with an application. The state will come and say whether they are opposed to the release of the passport or not. Okay. That's what I have to go. So let's get it clear.
Let me quickly, yes. First and foremost, I am not considering any accused person or any suspect with a political color. That one, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't work for me. So he is an MP who has been or who has been arraigned before the police or anything. Just that. Whether it's MPP and DC doesn't matter to me as far as I'm concerned. Okay. And indeed, my comment on the bail applications and the conditions of bail is not situated in any regime. I'm talking about bail applications and conditions of bail generally in Ghana. And I am also, like he's saying, I'm also not comfortable when the bar is raised so high to make it impossible to execute the bail orders. You see, giving bail and certain conditions so difficult to execute means that the person is still in custody. And stays in custody for as long as he's struggling to meet the conditions. It is not fair, it is not right, and I think that we need to look at it as a country generally, because people are in custody where they have not been found guilty. And for you to stay in custody for this long, whilst you, at the end, if you are even not convicted, so why would you have stayed in custody for that long? I don't think that, like he is saying also, what is most important in the consideration is whether or not the person will come to face the law.
That's all.
And again, whether the person is flies rich or not. But if you say that because he's MP, you should give him special privileges, I don't agree. Because the MPs can also run away. And for you to know, most of us, even when I was MP, I had 2 passports. So I could tender one in and still keep the other. So the consideration of my position as MP in determining whether or not I'm a price risk, I'm not sure that is tenable.
No, but Senior, you agree with me. Senior, you agree with me that the judges do a balancing.
Yes. So let us.
So they are looking at the possibility. Nobody can see your mind.
So what?
It's a balancing.
My brother, what I'm saying is that it is not necessary to consider my position in society as a member of parliament, as a professor, as what. No. When I'm before the law, I'm just the person before the law. And what is done to me should be done to the next person as well. And I'm just citing my position as a member of parliament holding Ghanaian and diplomatic passport together.
You run away from the good people of Asante.
No. Why do you make that assumption? But if
why would you run away from them?
No. If I'm seriously in trouble and I want to run away, you take one passport, leave the other with me, you have done nothing. And considering the person who is also, maybe if there's a co-accused person who is not a member of parliament, you will give him stricter conditions and you give me less. I mean, let's address the issue of bail generally in the country.
Right.
It is not fair on the
This was just on the side of the substantial issue that you made. And that cleared, you made a critical point about the current state of the illegal mining at the community level. And we narrow it down to the community level because it's critical. And Eduji, we're going to respond to a number of things that Awolasewa had indicated. But I still stay on the Apia Kobe while I acknowledge the presence of Christian Mamhesi. He's a private legal practitioner as well. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Kofi Bentel is joining us in a bit as well. He's just a private legal practitioner. But Andy Apia Kobe referenced what is happening now, where previously the community members were the ones who were fighting and resisting
the illegal miners.
At least he referenced Asante North. Now, the reverse is happening, where in a number of cases, the community members are rather fighting task force members or officials who are fighting Galamsey operators or state institutions fighting Galamsey operators. I stay with you, Honorable Andy on this. How?
Yes.
What does this tell you? What has contributed to this troubling shift in what is happening or what used to happen, where the community members were the ones resisting illegal miners? Now they are the ones rather shielding them, protecting them, and rather fighting state institutions that are set up to fight Galamsey.
I want to believe that the orientation of the people is changing because of lack of education. Number one, the people, they are not properly educated as to the consequences of what they are doing. And number two, I think the motivation in it. And number three, community leaders are also, most of them are complicit. And I'm not talking about any particular regime. Since the fight started against Galamsey, where community leaders do not agree to or do not work with the illegal miners, it is not possible. It is possible to resist them if the leaders themselves are not part. And aside my particular case, there were times where people would come to me and ask, but it is happening in so constituency and everybody is benefiting from. Why are you saying you will not agree? I say, I do not agree and I will not allow. And in most cases, some of our community leaders will even try to influence you to succumb to it and let it happen so that you can also have your share. If the community leaders say no, it will not happen. But if you yourself, you get involved and you start picking some monies from them, then you are bound to also support. And once they see the loophole that one person, and I said my personal example because they had tried to influence one person who was contracted to influence me and came to me with a prayer that my friend so-and-so here is doing it and he's making it and making a lot of money. Why don't we also agree? I said, my friend, here it won't happen.
While you were MP?
Yes, while I was MP.
Somebody...
And most of people also blame me that I was the only obstacle. And most of the miners had me as their target because they thought that, this man has agreed, that one has agreed. It is only you. They came to me and I said, no. In my case, I won't agree, and it will not happen. But thank to God, my community, they understood my position, the youth in the community, and we had interacted with them and told them what is happening in other communities and the consequences coming, the environmental challenges. And in fact, the people there, even the drugs, they are pushing onto the youth in the communities, how the youth are behaving and all that. So sometimes I will show them even videos of what is happening in other areas and try to convince them that stay with me and let's fight them. So in our fight, it was against those who were coming in. Sometimes they would come in the night, and when we got wind of it, and I remember on one occasion, I was forewarned that those people are armed. So we have to be careful going into the bushes. We had to engage also the police commander there and the police administration to come front us, and the community followed them. When the miners knew that we were that many, they didn't start the fight. So they started running away. On that occasion, we seized some excavators. The problem was also that how to convey the excavators from the sites into the police station. And in any case, there is a cartel in this industry. Those who have low beds, the drivers, they are also their friends. So you go to them and they will not even rent out even the low bed for you to go and convey the excavator. I think that the time has come for us to reorient the communities to support this initiative. And please, let's not point political fingers. It will not work if you point political fingers, party A, party B. And that is, once you go political, you lose the fight. So let us not attempt to be blaming one person because of his political lineage or the other. And let's see the problem as a problem confronting all of us as a nation. And let's fight it. It is possible. The experience, and the last time I was here, I think the reference was also made to another Queen Mother somewhere who had also taken this same course and had been successful also. So when you have success stories, case study is here, the way we did it, let's continue to do it. It is the influence of the pecuniary benefits that gets some people also follow. Look at that. They want to share the money to people for them to support their wrongdoing. So for me, I believe that, yes, in fact, the military, even if you send them there, they're not going to stay in the bush for 7 days in a week and 24 hours in a day. They won't. So the community, they will find out those who infiltrate easily every day. So let the community be the base of the fight. Let them also provide information when immediately they get it. And sometimes, from my experience, it depends also on the security personnel in the community. In my particular case, I had a police commander who was also against illegal mining. So anytime I call him, he will mobilize his men and then he will be ready to move into the bushes. It is a very dangerous fight. Let us also not forget. So let us also not encourage people who are not ready to go and face them because it can be dangerous. Well, but on one occasion, they were firing, and I had to restrict my boys to stay far from the firing line and get the police to go.
The Galamsey operators were armed. They were firing at you.
Yes. On one occasion, they were firing, and it was in the night. So you wouldn't know even where the bullet was coming from. So it is not easy like that. That is why it is always important to get trained men to be part. But the fight must be carried on by the whole community. And in some cases, chiefs. You see, in my particular case, the last time I came here and I was talking about some of the community traditional leaders also fighting against us. Because no mining company will go into a community without going to the chiefs. No mining company, they will always go there. And when you investigate, you will see that a lot of things will have changed hands even before they entered. Now the people who they influence are in the local communities, but we will start by accusing people in Accra. It is not always the people in Accra who do that, and most of these people are not registered. So the people in Accra don't know who they are and what they are doing. So most of the fight should be started from the local communities. And for them to do that, they need to understand what you're doing. They need to understand also that you are also not part. They need to understand why you want them to fight it. And I'm sure when they understand that, they will join you. In my particular case, Nana Kwaku Sapong, he will call me and tell me that I have heard that this thing is happening. Make sure it doesn't go on. And on one occasion, he even gave me the details of the person who was doing this illegal mining, and I had to go there with the police and the community to arrest them.
You say that this should not also, politics should not be brought in. But if you have politicians involved in or aiding Galamsey operators, they should be called out.
No, treat them as suspects. I don't like when somebody is before the law, you say he's this, he is that. No. Treat them as suspects. And the way you treat any other suspect, treat them as such. And when they themselves know that they don't have any cover, I'm sure they will behave. But when they have a feeling that because I'm a member of parliament, no policeman, no. Arrest them if they misbehave. And the immunity they enjoy is only when they are going to parliament or when they are coming out of parliament and in their time in parliament. It doesn't say that at any time when you are in the bush supporting Galamsey, you are also a member of parliament, you have any immunity. No. Immunity doesn't extend to that. So when they go out of parliament and they are joining any criminal activity, treat them as criminals, treat them as suspects. And the way you handle any other suspect, you handle them like that. The privilege must not be abused.
I see. Well, Martin Pepo is joining us as well on Zoom. He's a private legal practitioner, also the leader of the Comiprekurido demonstration, a member of the Operation Recover All Loot preparatory team that has wrapped up their work. Martin Pepo, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
And let me explain why he's not in the
Yes, morning, Mr. Ocansey. Morning.
Right. And the Apia Gubi is asking a question as to where you are and why you are not in the studio.
Answer that question before we start.
I've traveled a bit. Sometimes we have to see to other things. Yes, we food also. So I have other commitments.
When you come back, come on account.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Honorable Apia Gubi, have you disclosed the businessman? The businessman, you have to disclose the businessman who brought the money to Parliament.
I see.
But I'm immune to this, so go ahead.
Okay, yes. Let me greet Sofa Kufuya Santua. Thank you for standing up against Akufo-Addo when a lot of Ghanaians were benefiting from Akufo-Addo's government and didn't want to talk. Doma Hine the same. Took me after the of Assembly State. And then Kentucky Teku through the second. Thank you for being very valiant and standing up to fight for Ghana. And of course, let's once again remind men above 40, please, dear men above 40, do the prostate cancer checkup. Check in good time so that we don't lose you needlessly. Please, for starters, when you have to do the blood test, it's just about 1,200 Ghana. Thank you.
It's even free.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
facilities
Yes. So please do the check.
Important.
Excellent.
Right. Council, if you could position yourself well for me, because you are the corner of the screen. If you could, yes, move it.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this better?
I think this is better.
Okay.
Yes, we could move with that. Now, just a quick on this fight against Galamsey. We highlighted the interventions that have been made so far, and then also this week we witnessed the attack on the NIMOS official. A member of parliament has been dragged to court as a result of this. He's been granted bail, and then also the attack on the EPA, Environmental Protection Authority officials, together with journalists. Some of them have sustained injuries, are receiving treatment as we speak, were attacked by illegal miners, again, in the Ashanti region. They had to flee for their lives. And we'll play portions of that interview. But Council, this is what's happened this week. And question is, with all the interventions that have been put in place, why is Galamsey still ongoing? And in fact, we've seen it rather escalate in some instances across the country.
Okay, so Mr. Ocansey, what we should be saying is this. It's a hydra-headed problem, very complex. It is politics, it is economics, it is everything else, right? Yes, it's a very complex, various facets of it. So it tells you that generally we cannot approach it in a day, but what we need to do is ratchet up the efforts. So to go get the perpetrators of the crime in Hidiem, yes, where the Honorable Edu's people, where he went, the MP, Fisaf, where he went, and then there were issues. So one of the key things actually in the fight against Galamsey is impunity. It's impunity, you see. So when the police are able to get to the bottom of that matter, they're able to arrest the suspects and put them before law courts, and the journalists cover these trials extensively, it will serve as a warning to like-minded persons. Yes, because in all of this, we are trying to do a behavioral change, so a mindset change. So when you want to change the mindset of criminally minded persons, you show them what is happening in the law courts. So if they see that other persons are before the law courts, then chances are that they would behave. You see, they would behave. So that's why I think that's the first prosecution. Yes, in the process, we are not asking that their rights be trampled. No, let's observe their rights, okay? Because sometimes when we overrush, we may cause injustice, but it should be swift, daily trials. Once we conclude investigations and then we find out that these are the people, after all, the president had met the Chief Justice and then they said there would be Galamsey courts, right? Yeah, so every day, let's have the trials on daily basis. And then also let the courts, even though we've not yet passed the law in Parliament, yes, the Chief Justice can come out with some guidelines on when these cases will be finished. Yes, you see, like they've done in the past, practice directions to guide judges how to finish these cases quickly. So that if we know that, look, this case, example, Chairman Untumi, and you see why the Chairman Untumi's case is going to help in the fight against Galamsey, because people will be watching. You see now, every day Chairman Untumi goes to court, it is news. You see the last time when he didn't go to court, a bench warrant was issued, it was news. You see the effect it's having. And that's exactly what we're asking for since 2022, when we presented a petition to Faustina Andokofi, the Commissioner of Police, those days CID boss. And then another one was presented to IGP by the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. And IGP gave it to Faustina Andokofi. So Andokofi had 2 petitions, and yet she was frustrating the work with Superintendent Inkum helping. And then there was another one, Ganyo Godwin, Godwin Ponyo. Ponyo was more helpful, but you see, those who were politically aligned were frustrating the work. So what I'm saying, the point one is that to stem impunity, in order to erase that notion that big people in the fight against Galamsey are beyond reach, the criminal justice system is like a spider's web. It can only catch the weak ones. What we should do is that Untumi's trial like this should proceed expeditiously. Let's also have timelines when the cases will finish, right? Very, very important. Then let's go, I support point number 2. You see, and let's not forget where we've come from. What we are looking for, this behavioral change. You see that just a year ago, about this time, we're still fighting Akufo-Addo to stop Galamsey because he had sanctioned mining in forests. You see, the LI, right? So 2462. He had sanctioned mining in forest. Remember the popular Itiwa case, which we started. We went to court in 2019. And the Kufado's government was fighting us. And that's how I even lost my job in the law firm I was working for. That you say you dare to fight Galamsey, you'll be out of this office.
I see.
And I was out, etc. Right? So the point is that there was a culture of Galamsey festered and fostered by Akufo-Addo over 8 years. So when a new government comes and wants to uproot it, it cannot be overnight. And that's where I support Honorable Apia Kubi's point that we should reorient the society, reorient them. Because for about 8 years, there was a government fostering and festering Galamsey, saying party here, Sika. You remember the Central Regional Chairman of the MPP telling from Pompwati, party here, Sika, the party needs money. The party needs money. And that was a culture. Then the
I see. So, Council, if you talk about reorientation, unfortunately, I'm losing you. I'm losing you. If you could reposition so that we get some clear connection to you. I apologize for that cranky connection to Martin Pebble, but Kofi Bento is Vice President of a policy think tank Imani Africa. He's a private legal practitioner who are joining us. Mr. Bento, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and pleasure to be back here.
Yes, indeed. Sojourning, but you're back. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Indeed. Before you even got in, there was a message that Dr. Emmanuel Asante sent. Says, good morning. Kofi Bento has consistently indicated that until we begin to localize the punishment and the punitive measures in the fight against Galamsey, for instance, firing DCs and MCEs where this illegal mining is taking place, we may just be clutching on a straw. With these achievements that you outlined on your screen, why is Galamsey still ongoing? It appears that on that same path of thinking and what you had been consistently indicating, it's now feeding into the expectation of what the next phase of the fight should be. So that if NIMOS officials will be attacked by illegal miners, EPA officials will be attacked by illegal miners, journalists will be affected in the process. What exactly is emboldening these illegal miners to do this against state actors? That's in response to this, and then I'll come to Sam Amhesi.
So yeah, I remember saying that, and I said a number of things too, and I concluded by saying we won't win the Galamsey fight.
You said we won't win.
Yeah, we won't win.
You still stand by that position?
I stand by it. We are joking with the Galamsey fight. When I say we, I mean the government. They are really playing games with this Galamsey fight. Why do I say so? Look, we've made many predictions here. One of the predictions we made, not a prediction, but some things that we found was that one, the Galamsey fight has become an elite fight, if you remember. The people on the ground have stopped the fight. It is now we in Accra and co who are fighting and screaming and shouting and holding our people. When you go to the ground, the people fight you. Today I was hearing things like that. Yeah. It's clear. I said this more than a month ago, that these are the indications. Other things that we've said, and I'm saying that these things have been said publicly, they are known, so I don't know why we are behaving as if this is strange, okay? So we've said that, for instance, already. And then we've said other things, all right? Listen, the Galamsey fight is not something for police, civilian restoration of order or whatever. Do you know what you need to make a civil arrest? A warrant. A warrant is a piece of paper. In a proper civil arrangement, when the policeman is coming to arrest somebody, they need a warrant. It's a piece of paper. And if you're a law-abiding person, or even not a law-abiding person, the police is sufficiently resourced. If they present a warrant, you will go with him. Otherwise, he will arrest you physically and take you. That's what you need. When you are dealing with Galamsey people, and we have said it, I have said it here and other places, Galamsey is no longer a civil law enforcement issue.
What is it?
Galamsey is organized international crime.
Organized international crime?
Yes, involving armed insurgents. Organized international crime involving armed insurgents and internal people who constitute terrorists or what you call internal aggression. Okay? We've said it here. I have said it here and other places that there are places in this country which are no-go areas for the state. You have territories that have been taken over by persons who are armed and well organized. These people have people sitting in air-conditioned offices in Accra, writing LCs in the millions of dollars, and importing excavators from across the world, shipping it here, and transporting it into the bush, organizing to mine gold and ship it to Dubai. It is not a joke. So, when you have organized international crime by armed insurgents, internal terrorists, and people who constitute internal aggression against the state, you don't send the head of EPA there.
Who do you
You
send
are
there?
joking. You don't go and arrest those people with a warrant. You don't send a piece of paper to a gunfight. We are joking.
They went there in the company of military personnel.
And what happened?
Well, they were chased.
So the point is, what kind of joke are we joking? Look, with all due respect to Madam, if she had lost her life, that would have been stupid death. Okay?
The EPA boss?
Yes, if she had lost her life, it would have been very foolish.
Why?
Why? Because how do you send somebody who does civil law enforcement with her bodyguards? They didn't go to fight. They were protecting her. To people who are armed, are in the forest, who shoot
ready
at
to
other
fight.
people. I mean, what kind of joke are we joking? Look, and the fact that we are playing games with this thing is what I'm telling you, that we won't win this fight. We won't win this fight. And you know, people like to do these things to check the box. I've been there. I also went and saw the problem. Okay, this and this and this is what happened. One of these days, God forbid, we're going to send some sorry person without the necessary accoutrements. And when I talk like that, I mean any civilian person, to go and confront these young men in the bushes, and somebody will lose their life. So please, what I'm saying is, we've said so many things. It's very, very obvious. People are just not taking them seriously. You don't send a warrant, which is a tool for civilian law enforcement, into an area where you have armed insurgents. I said somewhere else, from time immemorial, from thousands of years back, gold is a spirit. And from time immemorial, it makes men mad.
Gold is a spirit.
And from time immemorial, it makes men mad. Why I say so is that this is not a recent phenomenon. Go and read the story of the Wild West in the US. Read the stories about wherever gold was found, wherever. People just go mad. So I don't know why we are joking with this thing.
So we're joking and we're playing games. With all these interventions that have taken place, it still looks like a joke for
That's
you.
why I'm saying that the nature of the intervention, you don't take a knife to a gunfight. Okay? This is a gunfight. If you take a knife to a gunfight, you don't know what you're doing. We are taking pieces of paper to a gunfight. We send the boss of EPA to go and do what in the Galamsey space. All right? So for me, I don't know. Maybe they know something, I don't know. But what I see is that these are armed insurgents, young men who are prepared to fight. We have seen them confront military people. So what are you talking about? Okay, so we are joking. We are joking with this thing, and God help us, it doesn't blow up in our face.
So if so far the interventions that have been made is for you light-hearted joke, you say we're playing games with it, what should have been done differently?
Differently.
Beyond what we're seeing now. The setting up of NIMOS, Blue Water Guards, all of these almost 2,000 and over people that have been arrested and so on. What should have been done
So
differently?
far, the only thing that looks like a serious intervention against Galamsey is NIMOS. Okay, it's NIMOS. Now, if therefore we have NIMOS, we should not be doing anything below NIMOS. We should be in NIMOS plus. And NIMOS is not they haven't succeeded. They look like the most potent effort we are making so far. So my point is that if NIMOS is the most potent effort we are making so far, we should not be doing anything less than NIMOS. We shouldn't be sending, civilian officials there to pretend that they are going to arrest people, or they are going to inspect something. This is not a normal situation. It is terrorism. It is insurgency. It is internal aggression. It is the stuff that armies are formed for. The army goes into that kind of space. They take the space. They hold the space. They impose order. And then you can come in and then do the normal things that you ought to do. But you don't go there assuming that everything is normal. Because some of those places, the guys there, if you approach them, they'll shoot. So, well, we are watching.
In fact, a number of the things that you said was corroborated by the EPA boss. I had that exclusive interview with him. I'm going to play portions of it. But let me acknowledge Dr. Arthur Kennedy as well is joining us. He's a physician and also a political analyst. Dr. Arthur Kennedy, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you to your viewers and to your panelists.
Great. And I'll hold you on to that point. Christian Mamhesi, that's on this, especially because of where the position of the law is, as well in the fight against Galamsey, and what a very troubling and concerning picture that Kofi Bentola has painted about how this Galamsey menace has evolved into what has been described as international organized crime, involving armed insurgents backed by locals, as against what was the case previously, that the locals were rather the ones who were resisting illegal miners. Now we are seeing the locals rather resisting state actors with the power to fight Galamsey. How troubling is this?
It's very unfortunate. I must say. I mean, I watched the news of the NIMOS boss and then the EPA. It was very troubling seeing her narrate her ordeal, and then the TV3, the Ashanti regional correspondent, also talk about his experience. What we are beginning to see is we are beginning to have some societal apathy against the fight of Galamsey. It's like Senior said, that national concerted effort is beginning to wane down. For us to have these flashy areas or flashpoints that are increasingly beginning to support the activities of Galamsey, and that is very regressive towards the fight of Galamsey. Now, the question that one would ask is that has the fight of Galamsey turned into, or one would say, is it criminology versus economics? Are we looking at criminal issues and economical issues? And we are beginning to see either a mix of the two, or the two of them standing at poles existing against each other, because you have in certain societies the polarization of militias forming or even formed already, where when state actors engage societies or go for inspections, they are run out of the place. I mean, they are thrown out of the place, chased out of the place, and they are just not thrown out of the place, but they also have ammunitions, weapons, sophisticated ammunitions, and that speaks to the fact that this fight against Galamsey, it is becoming very complicated, and we cannot treat it with kids' gloves, but we need to take control of it. Now, if you look at El Salvador, when the president came in, that's President Bukele, when he came in, the gang rates and the cartel in that particular country was so prevalent, and indeed the crime rate at the time he came to power was about 98%, that in terms of homicide crime rate. But you see, it took concerted efforts and rapid action from government in order to curtail it down. And they've been able to reduce it to 1.9%. And that tells you that when it comes to some of these activities, where hitherto we treated it as, oh, okay, it's an economic issue, but where it transcends into criminality, then it means that the state is going to be excused from that particular sphere, and the militia or the heads of these militia groups are now going to control it. And that is the incidents we are beginning to see. And when some of these criminal trends begin to surface, then it should be a wake-up call for government to address, because it is no longer the incidence of economics and let's see how we go about it, let's have the stakeholder dialogue. All those things are very necessary. But in dealing with such issues where it has now moved away from just mere economic situation, because see, some of these people, just as has been reported, earn between 3,000 to 10,000 Ghana cedis a week. And see, there are people like us and others in the banks and other areas practicing white-collar jobs who don't get that, I mean, in a week, you know. But now...
So there's existing motivation to
yes,
do
there's
so.
an existing motivation, and it needs an intentional intervention from government, rather than just, oh, let's have a holistic look at it. There's soft gloves towards... the soft gloves towards addressing galamsey needs to be pushed away, and we need to usher in a very radical but legal regime to handle this. You look at our military population. We have a military personnel of 15,500 to 16,000 persons, and we have a reservist of about 10,000 cities. Look at the totality of the galamsey areas. Are these people motivated enough to address it? We have a police population of just about 30,000. And the UN indicates that we have the ratio of 1 police to 842. So even looking at our security architecture, we have a lot to do. So it tells you that if we're having to deploy our military and police across the country, it will be a very thin stretch of it. So then what should be the approach? Is it that we look at the flash points and we have military concentrations at that particular area to deal seriously with this menace, or we keep looking at it from the soft gloves approach so that slow but sure we have it tackled? It is an intervention that needs to be halted with all the rigorousness required, and the earliest we have it, the better.
And that's why I bring in Dujita Makula, especially because of your position, and as a matter of fact, and the concern that as well these acts of illegal mining impacts some other areas even within your direct work and jurisdiction. I'll recall that interview that I had with the EPA boss, that is Professor Brown Kluche, on what happened that led to these journalists. In fact, 2 of our colleague journalists sustained very serious degrees of injury. They are responding to treatment now. My colleague Ibrahim Abubakar, Ashanti Regional Correspondent, together with the City TV, and then Adom. In fact, the Adom TV reporter had a head injury. The video we've been showing since we started this program. And she narrated in detail exactly what happened that led to this head-on collision when they were fleeing for their lives. That's how she put it. They were really fleeing for their lives. So it complements what you said, the description that you gave to what happened. Now hear from Dujita Makula. This is what she said. Take a look. And this we had on Ghana Tonight.
They had mined in the river body and blocked the river in such a way that it has taken different tributaries around the area and flooded some places. It's messy. It was really a bad situation. So we actually went to the car and used another route to the place. And whilst there, the people also ran. We called them to come, and then just before we could even have a conversation, they had sent news around, and so we saw built men, a number of them came with guns. We had the military with us anyway, and the national security also were with us. But then we saw that we couldn't exchange fire, so we could not fight them. So we had to run for our lives. So in the course of we running, speeding on the road, we encountered this accident. So one of the cars, which had some EPA staff and some of the journalists, had a head-on collision with a truck that is actually carrying some pipes for galamsey, these galamsey operations. We saw some of them on the field. So they had a head-on collision, and we had the injuries that they are now at the hospitals and attending to treatment.
I see. So you're indeed confirming that you were attacked by Galamsey operators. I mean, we say well-built, heavily armed people.
Yes. So some of them were dressed in black, like complete black from top to down, and some of them were wearing vests like this with CID written at the back. We asked them, in fact, the soldiers, the national security men, asked them of their ID card and stuff like that. So it was becoming confrontational, and then we had to leave because we couldn't. They said they cannot overpower them, so we had to leave. They had their arms, but we didn't. Of course, EPA doesn't. We didn't have, so we had to run.
I see. Now, what prompted the decision to run? Were they attempting to fire at you or attack you?
Yeah. So whilst they were having the confrontation, we got intel. So I got a phone call from Accra that we should leave immediately where we are, and that even the route we plan to take, we should not use it again, and we should not return on the same route we came from Kumasi to Obuasi. So we had to use another route altogether, much longer, through central region, through western region, and then back to Kumasi. But just before we reached Kumasi is when we had a head-on collision.
And this change in route, as a result of that call you got, was because intelligence had been picked that you could possibly be attacked if you used the same route you came?
Yes. So as I received the call, the national security operators also had a similar call. So they were giving us feedback as they drove right in front of my vehicle, and we had one driving 2 vehicles behind. So we got phone calls from different sources, but all from the national security, that picking intel that where we are is not safe, and that we had to take cover immediately.
That's the account, the horrifying account of the EPA boss, Professor Brown Kluche, together with the team of the EPA officials and journalists.
This is dangerous.
This is troubling, is it not?
I think that, without doubt, the issue of Galamsey is what you describe as a clear and present danger. At all material time, we need to appreciate that to win this war, it will require the collective efforts of all of us, be it civil society, those in government, those in opposition, traditional authorities, most importantly, and like what we are doing this morning,
the local communities,
the locals. You see, if we turn Galamsey,
is doing it except the government.
if we turn Galamsey into Accra conversation, it will remain Accra conversation, and that is what it will be. Why do I say so? We in Accra are even more concerned about the environmental impacts of Galamsey than the people who are even drinking the polluted water. I grew up in communities where we go to the riverside, fetch water to cook, to drink, among others. That's how we grew up. Today, in most of our communities, you cannot drink that same water that has been used for generations simply because of a few greedy people. Recently, I listened to one of your colleague journalists make the point that he conducted an underground investigation. I think he's with Oyerepa.
Yes.
And he said, look, When he did this underground investigation in one of the communities in Ashanti region, he found out that the local pastor was involved, that the teacher was involved. Now they are using school kids, and in his words, Omoyam Galano. They are the kids who help in grinding the sand or what have you. The local pastor,
They are not going to school.
they are not going to school. So it's affecting enrollment. The teacher in the community, who is supposed to be the one to lead, the local chief gets royalties directly paid to him. And so we sit here in Accra and say, look, the chief out there has this mind that the land belongs to us. Why should a minister in Accra be telling me who should come and mine there? Because obviously, if the state gets involved, the state will ensure strict compliance with regulations. But he has given it to the boys. Every month, it's like having a trotro. And at the end of every day, the trotro driver comes to do what? Give you sales. That is the kind of thing that is happening in our rural community. So we craft the beautiful narratives, the beautiful laws, the interventions, and then we go there and there is resistance. Look, all over the world, we do appreciate how successful has it been in fighting guerrilla warfare. I want to know, those with the expertise, how successful has it been in fighting? Because you see, the people who are armed and in this forest and what have you, they are not using conventional methods. They are doing their own thing. And that is why the minister, consistent with what he wants to do, said, look, the time has come that some areas must be declared security zones. And that once you map up those areas as security zones, then you can deal with them. Now, you see, I've been part of this conversation at a certain level, looking at all the mechanisms, because curiously, excavator doesn't use oxygen.
You supply them.
It uses something. So the discussion we are even having is at a different level, trying to know. But this also requires a certain level of intelligence.
See, at some point, a fuel station sort of was found in the heart of the forest.
Look,
which falls with...
That's where I am coming. So the guys would now, what they are basically doing now is to create their own fuel stations.
In the forest?
Deep forests. So what we are doing, regrettably, is that we have turned the conversation into a KPI, more or less, for a government. And because we have turned it into a KPI for a government, right, the people out there feel that they are detached from government. And so they are living in their own kind of country. Look, this morning, Naimos went to one of the eastern region towns, just on the Kumasi main road, arrested 32 people. Out of the 32, only 5 were Ghanaians.
This morning?
This morning. Only 5 were Ghanaians. The rest are Nigerians. So again,
insurgents.
That again, buttresses the point that Mr. Kofi Bento makes about the Galamsey fight having taken an international outlook, where in this case, our West African neighbors, the Burkinabes, the Nigerians, the Ivorians, are now coming into Ghana the nature of advocacy in Ghana is a bit different from the case in Ivory Coast. So you don't have a lot of Ivorians coming into ours because there's more sunshine here. Just by the Ivorian border, the next community, there is a whole mining, galamsey going on. I mean, if you're in the aeroplane and you are just about descending into the Ivorian capital, what's the name? Abidjan. You see how polluted the water body is. Simply because the level of advocacy we have here in Ghana, that is not the case in Ivory Coast. You see, I want us to maybe do a bit of a reverse in terms of framing. By the time President Mahama took over the leadership of this country on January the 7th, and today, this government had ensured that not less than 500 champagnes have completely been destroyed. I ask a simple question. What would have been the state of affairs with that 500 champagnes on our water bodies? Alfred, assuming that this government didn't do anything at all and allowed the 500 champagnes to be on our water bodies, what would have been the state of our environment today? That is when you begin to appreciate efforts. That is when you begin to appreciate results. 2, by the time today, over 1,000 water pumping machines have completely been taken from the galamseyers, redistributed to district assemblies, among others. Imagine having over 1,000 water pumps on our water bodies today. What would have been the state of affairs?
I will also question the political will. You heard here. That
in fact,
with all of this,
when I listen to the question of political will, immediately I felt my sister Awula Sewa has not really been fair to President Mahama.
Why is that?
And I'll come there. I appreciate her advocacy and I respect her for that. But a president comes to office and finds that his predecessor, under his watch, the Ministry of Environment and Science, together with EPA, sponsored an airline, which airline specifically gave the President of the Republic the authority and mandate to grant a mining lease and permit to mine in a forest reserve. That is what happened before. President Mahama, with the benefit of power, the first thing that he did within the first 3 months was to have that portion that gave the president the authority to enter into our forest reserve. He said, remove that portion. I have no personal interest in any mining. I don't need it. How is that not political will? What's the meaning of political will? The last time I checked, it's a decision by a politician or whatever it is to take a decision. That willingness is what culminated in President Mahama saying, I don't need it. And today, as we speak, under the watch of President Mahama, has he issued any mining lease to mine in any of our forest reserve? You say, please, that 35 mining lease, let us not confuse issue. Were mining leases that were issued by January 2025. By January 2025.
January, you mean before he assumed office as president?
Within the month of January 2025.
When he was president.
Please, he took over when?
January
7th.
Yes.
Prior to that, who was there?
No, but we say
so please.
Within the month.
No. What I want you to know, I have seen the narrative out there.
That's why
and I attempt to create the impression that under the watch of President Mahama. But first of all, let's clarify 2 things. A mining lease in and of itself is not a crime. We agree.
That is
No,
true.
I don't agree.
The morality.
Okay. No, hold on, please.
No,
Let's stagger the conversation.
Yeah.
A mining lease in and of itself, is it a crime?
No,
I don't agree.
Wait.
There's a point of
Two.
disagreement.
Yes, I agree. He says he disagrees. So what it means is that, to his view, every mining lease is a crime.
No, I didn't say that.
So what's the point
you
of
are
disagreement?
confusing me.
When
I asked, you see, senior, maybe.
I mean, ask the question.
Let's stagger. I asked the question.
Under the circumstance,
Every
it
mining
is
lease.
immoral.
morally.
It is immoral to the extent.
No, we have moved the conversation to morality.
I'm explaining, yes.
Let's appreciate the morality conversation. But I want to say that a mining lease in and of itself does not constitute an offense. It is subject to what it is used for, correct? Now, in this specific case, our laws do not prescribe the issuance of mining lease, particularly when it is not in a forest reserve. Now, what the airline in the past was doing, and everybody appreciates. Hold on, please. Let me make my point. What everybody appreciates, that airline was specifically done because at that time President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had a personal interest in mining in the Etiwa forest. That's a fact. You know it. You know it.
So what
Please hold on.
Since he is
At the time that airline came, giving the president that authority a mandate because President Akufo-Addo at that time had a personal interest in getting mining done in the Etiwa forest. That was it.
And those who don't
President Mahama came.
they are also giving leases.
Calm down. President Mahama came and said, look, I have no such interest. And for that matter, that authority and mandate I have under the airline to issue mining permit in forest reserve, I want that revoked. And same was done. Two, today as we speak, we have before our parliament an airline to revoke this particular airline entirely with no exception. That is forward march. That is progress. If that were to be the case, even 2-3 years ago, would we be having this conversation? Have we not moved forward? Yes, we have. Has there not been specific targeted achievements? Yes, there had been. That is what a government is supposed to do. Now, people say, what is the result?
Yes.
I'm surprised that lawyers are the ones making this claim that what is the result.
Of course, what exactly?
Why are you? No, so hold on. My two colleague lawyers have made the fight looks as an event.
No.
Is the fight an event?
No.
I'm surprised that you.
We have discussed this.
No, hold on, senior Apiakubi. I am really surprised.
Why are you surprised?
That even you,
Yes.
when you claim that your efforts in your small jurisdiction constituency, what were the challenges you faced, even in your small?
We don't discount.
No,
the
please.
extent of the challenge.
Today, we applaud you that as a member of parliament, at least you took some initiatives, even at personal risk.
Yes.
To the point that even some of your MPP people who contested you in their primaries used that against you in the primaries.
Yes. So
I'm saying
Can I
that,
stop
but
that?
at least you put in the effort. Did you finish? Did you eradicate Galamsey in your small community?
No, I expected.
No,
it
hold on, senior. Let's start
No,
the
in my time,
While
yes.
you round up. Yes.
Good, but I'm saying that just when the matters have come up, look, by 2024, right by the roadside in Konongo,
Konongo is not being jurisdiction.
I'm not saying it is.
Okay.
We saw people mining just by the roadside. I am just saying this morning, and I want to submit that President
Talk to us and teach him.
President
When you want to reference
Mahama,
me.
President Mahama has specifically put in place some interventions, which interventions are yielding results. Have we gotten to the point where we will say we have achieved what we have set out to do? Certainly no. Can we do more? Yes. I have listened to Avula make the point about the lack of political will translating in lack of resources.
For NIMOS, he says, if you have the political will, and I want you to run up on this one, if you have the political will, why set up NIMOS, which Kofi Bento says is by far, one of the most potent interventions, or the only potent intervention. You set up NIMOS and you don't give it the resources to execute its mandate. Where lies the commitment and the political will? End on this point. Gentlemen, please.
So you see, it would be completely disingenuous for anybody to say that NIMOS has not been resourced. Do they need more resources? Yes. But any suggestion, even remotely, that NIMOS has not been resourced is completely disingenuous.
What exactly do you mean by that?
I say this because I am privy to things that have happened. The issue of NIMOS was deliberated upon at cabinet. Funding for it provided. But you see, I say this, Ankobra alone is 190 kilometers. That's the stretch of Ankobra. If you have to get even a camp for NIMOS at the Ankobra, to police the Ankobra, 190 kilometers every day to and fro. I'm sure if you get the vote from BOG to even fund that operation, you will still need funding. So I agree and I concede that we need more funding for the operations of NIMOS. But it cannot be said that there had not been any resource. In any case,
she didn't say that.
Please hold on.
NIMOS
not enough resources.
Support, financial
what
resources.
kind of support?
Look, and you yourself.
I speak to Colonel Boa as and when it becomes necessary on this conversation. And I know other conversations going on to ramp up funding for NIMOS. In fact, the budget that will be read on the 13th of November, NIMOS will feature prominently in it. These are all interventions. I am aware that even Gold Board,
as a country,
hold on, please,
gentlemen,
even Gold Board, not too long ago, intervened even with cars. I'm aware that not long ago, EPA itself had purchased a lot of very, very powerful vehicles for their operations. What government is doing is to ramp up as much resources for this operation. Okay. President Mahama will not, with respect, pretend by saying, I am putting my presidency on the line. And after his tenure, gets implicated in the events of Galamsey. That is not the kind of political rhetoric President Mahama wants to engage in. He definitely appreciates the enormity, the dangers associated. What action?
Okay.
You are the last person I expect on this conversation on action. Okay. Because you have served in a government that just left office barely a few months ago. And so I will not. Maybe the lesson. Senior. At this point, you cannot. At this point, you cannot put yourself in a Pontius Pilate. You cannot put yourself in a Pontius Pilate situation. At least you were in that government. You were even a member of parliament. You had a say.
So we don't have.
You could have tabled the question. You could have tabled the question on the floor to find out what your government. Relative to look at the Frimpong Boateng. No, I will take that from you because we saw the Frimpong Boateng report.
And I was part of it. Was I implicated?
No, I didn't say you were. I am saying that you've been part of that.
The responsibility rests with government.
President Mahama has taken up the initiative. He's doing everything to resource NIMOS. Like this morning, I just told you, NIMOS just destroyed a set of activities.
This is it. This is what happened.
Absolutely. So, this morning, how are you saying that this is not effort? How are you saying this is not result?
So this has not happened before.
So This is
So
what
let's move on.
Let's
No,
gentlemen, thank
what
you.
form,
Thank you.
what,
Let
no,
me
what
bring in
form
Dr.
do you want
Kennedy on
the
this.
fight to
Gentlemen.
take now? Maybe the only
Thank
thing
you
that
very much.
President Mahama has not done so far is to implement the shoot to kill. That's the only thing that you people have suggested.
Nobody.
Okay, thank you. Now, you see that indeed
Just this
the
morning.
Nigerians, Burkinabes, Ivorians, Malians, all arrested in these
arrested
swoops.
millions of people.
Mr. Beto, I'll come to you on this point of disagreement that you held and the position Edujita Maklo made earlier. Now, Dr. Kennedy, listening to all the interventions put in place, and then also, yes, and then also what has happened this morning regarding the latest NIMOS interventions, and then also the EPA's own experience. I'm talking about the Environmental Protection Agency's own experience, Dr. Kennedy. That was narrated by the EPA boss to me, which I played to you. The evolution of this Galamsey menace, what should be the potent intervention or in terms of the fight against this menace that is evolving and becoming international crime? In what form should they take?
Good morning once again. It's been a long wait. I think first, let's talk about the politics. It would seem that even now, the discussion of the fight against Galamsey.
Doc, I lost you. If you could put the video on for me. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Yes.
Okay, so it would seem that even now, the discussion has partisan tones. There is an effort to blame the past government and give the current government credit. On the other hand, there's an effort to say that not enough is being done. I think that the biggest drawback of our Galamsey fight is this persistent desire to make it a partisan fight. So I don't know whether now or in the past, but we need to accept that this is a fight that ought to be bipartisan, nationalistic, and patriotic. We should not be, because for example, when Nana-Addo pledged to put his presidency on the line, I thought he meant it. He didn't deliver, but he meant it. I also think that President Mahama means to do something about Galamsey. Now, having said that, let's talk about what is being done. I think that as Ghanaians, and Kofi Bentil, I think, has gotten it closest to what I think it should be. I think that basically we do not appreciate the fact that this is an existential crisis for the country. In other words, to quote him, we are taking knives to a gunfight. I think this is not only happening in Galamsey. I think that the majesty of the state, because of our mindset, is not being respected. And we see this in the Boko crisis. We see this in Galamsey. We see this in the recent Damango crisis. I think that when the government says that it is going to prevent this or that from being done, and it sends forces there, it ought to send and be willing to use enough force to attain its goals. The only organization that ought to be able to stop a government from, in effect, law enforcement activities is citizens going to court and the court saying maybe the government has gone too far, has no right to do this or that. I think that NIMOS is a good initiative, but I can say on authority, because I talk to people in the highest levels of government, that it does not have sufficient resources. And this view is shared by the NIMOS hierarchy. And Kofi Bentil was right about the EPA lady and all those people fleeing for their lives. If you are representing the government and you go into such a place backed by the full force and majesty of the government, you ought not to be running for your life. And I think that our half-hearted approach gives me echoes of how Nigeria toyed with Boko Haram and now it cannot do anything. I think when we say we are using force, we should use sufficient force. But respectfully, when Kofi Benzo says the Galamsey has become a fight for us in Accra, with people sit in Accra and talk, yes, the people in Accra are also members of parliament. They are the government. That is why people talk about it in Accra. And the generals also still sit in Accra. So when decisions are made in Accra, they ought to be enforced on the ground. I think that right now, we need to unite behind the president and be nonpartisan so that we encourage him to do what is it that needs to be done. Because I think this is an existential threat. And I think that maybe the president is heading in the right direction, but when he talks about, the economic part of it, these people have jobs, there are 4 million people employed in the Galamsey economy. The truth of the matter is that we can never persuade the people who have, in effect, been addicted to Galamsey to voluntarily give up doing Galamsey. It is too lucrative. At some point, something other than economics must take over, and that is the national interest. That is the degradation of our environment. That is preserving our forests. That is preventing mercury from getting into our contumely and other things. That is leaving Ghana safe for future generations, because money is not everything. That is what we need to accept. The idea that you can persuade people who are making so much money out of the goodness of their heart to stop doing what they are doing is naive. So I think we need to push full scale. There ought to be unity behind the government. The government ought to be willing to use sufficient force to attain its goals. It doesn't matter whether the people caught there are Burkinabes and Nigerians or Nigerians or Ghanaians. We should enforce our laws and make sure that our environment is protected. And I think that we need to act as if this is we are in a state of emergency, because it is. And as for the idea that the Cobra and blah, blah, blah are clearing up, I give the president credit. I take him at his word that efforts are being made. But so far, my humble opinion is that we are not seeing sufficient results yet. But we need to back the president. The opposition needs to come on board. We need to stop making this discussion partisan so that we can move forward and see results, not for one party, but for the country.
Point there, indeed, for the country. The focus should be on, if you say that government must be willing to use enough force to achieve its goals. What extent of force should be applied in this fight against Galamsey that is evolving?
The amount of force needed to stop Galamsey. It means that when Naimos goes to an area, we don't have to have the local police negotiating so that they are sneaked out of town. They should go there with enough force for people to know that, yes, this is the majesty of the government of Ghana. It is here. And when the government of Ghana is in a place, every force must yield. As the Ashanti say, baby, to me when it's in. And I say this not just in respect of Galamsey. That is the same reason why the Boko crisis has festered. We allow people, as soon as they take on certain mantras, to become untouchable. People do what in effect is criminal. They kill, they assault people. Instead of saying this is law breaking, we start negotiating with them and talking about, these things are complicated. No, they are not complicated. The law says you shouldn't shoot your neighbor. So if you do that, you are a murder suspect and we should take you to court. If you have a problem, you go to court. The government says that you shouldn't pollute the water bodies in wherever you live. If you are doing that, the government has a right to arrest you. And if you think the government is not acting properly, you go to court. If you live in Damango and somebody infringes on your land, you don't go to court.
Come in.
You go to court. So I think that we need to enforce our laws and stop and it is the same thing about election violence. We see somebody right in the middle of the day hits Howard Ocansey in the belly, and all of a sudden it is a political problem that we cannot solve.
Right.
We need to respect our laws and make sure that when the government says we cannot do so, the head of NIMOS ought not to be escaping from a place in the middle of the night, sneaked out because the local people have more force than he has. That shouldn't be happening.
Okay. Well, Mr. Bento, you agree with the point that he made earlier about the kind of force that we need to apply?
I agree.
Just a quick one on that, and that point of disagreement that you had with
yes, so I agree with my brother on most of the things he said. And I think we need to emphasize a number of things. Look, there's a lot of activity. Activity is not always progress. And unfortunately, we are seeing a lot of activity which people want to force as progress. And I agree with Dr. Kennedy that you don't tell me you are applying force when you are trying to use a warrant, okay, to cause the arrest of people who are armed. Like I said, don't take a knife to a gunfight. And let's pin this down. The only force that is effective is necessary. You can't tell me that you need 10 units of force, but you took 2. That's not force. The only thing that can be described as effective force is to use the necessary amount of force that you have to use. And we are not doing so. So there's a lot of activity and no progress. Look, Ghana has an army. The army has representation in every region. You have people running around, and you see the pictures you are showing. Where is RECSEC? Where is the DISEC? Where are the people who are in charge of making sure that these things don't happen? I think we are joking around this thing. All right. The point of disagreement with Eduji, it's a philosophical and legal point, which in Ghana has been dealt with.
Right.
In the Occupy Ghana versus the Auditor General case, in Article 187, the Constitution used the word may. Okay, may, surcharge and disallow. And then it goes to I and III and gives conditions under which this will be done. Now, when it came to the Supreme Court and it was being interpreted, the justices of the Supreme Court said, when you read all of that together, that may becomes a shall.
Right.
What it means is that under the circumstance, when you find a set of things happening, you are duty bound to do something.
Right.
Here is my conclusion. To solve the problem. That's what I'm saying. Force is only force when it is sufficient. Now, when you have a situation like we have in this country today, where there's rampant mining destroying everything, you are duty bound not to give a mining license for small scale mining. I say so. If it comes before any set of proper adjudicators and they look at the circumstances, how will anybody conclude that under these circumstances you should issue a so-called mining license? For what? So I insist that anybody who is trying to issue a mining license is retrograde and perverse. It should never happen under these circumstances. Indeed, we should be withdrawing all mining licenses.
We should withdraw all mining licenses
absolutely
issued legally.
Listen. In strategy, when you have a complex situation, the first thing you do is simplify. And in the previous government, they did it. You ban all of it for a period, withdraw all the mining licenses.
And what happened next?
What?
No, I'm just saying that.
The challenge. Let me finish. I'll tell you what happens
You
next.
simplify the issue, and then you became complex.
I will tell you what happens next. In many situations, okay, when you have chaos, you impose order, you stop everything, and then you start arranging things properly, and then you start letting it go again. So if there are people who are doing proper mining, you can find them. But how do you find them? You don't find them. So I'm saying, if we had a proper handle on this thing, if we wanted to deal with it, we will stop everything. In strategy, I'm not saying it. Go and study it. When you have a chaotic situation, you simplify. The fastest way of simplifying is to stop and then rearrange and then now proceed in an orderly fashion. That's what the army does. When they go to a place, let me finish.
So you make end your point.
So I'm saying it cannot be right, either in law or in morality or in governance or in strategy, that you are fighting this kind of galamsey and still issuing licenses and calling them legal licenses.
See, what you call, just a quick one, what you call strategy has been used before. If you recall, when President Nana Addo took over, and said he was putting his president line.
Yes.
He placed a moratorium on mining altogether, right? And then deployed Operation Vanguard.
Which was the most successful.
Please, hold on. What happened?
It was successful.
By the time we were going into the 2020 election,
Correct.
they withdrew Operation.
Why?
Calm down.
No, no.
We
You
are
need to
moving.
deal
We
with
are
it.
talking
Why?
about
Because,
strategy
you see, he's
and
skipping a very important
success.
point.
You see,
Wait.
No, hold on.
Kofi,
Calm
he
down.
stopped it. He imposed Vanguard. Vanguard succeeded, and then the influencers went back because of the election.
No, hold
So
on.
you should continue what Vanguard did.
Calm down. So I am saying, what success story? What success story? What success story? You are just garnishing. You are just garnishing failure by calling this success story. Look, so let me just. Why?
Gentlemen.
You are intimidating me.
Gentlemen. I allowed the intervention.
Kofi and they are intimidating.
No.
You introduce politics.
I didn't introduce politics. I am saying that Kofi talks about HOT, Operation HOT. We have seen Operation HOT. Then with Operation HOT, we came to the conclusion where the presidency said, withdraw the soldiers.
Why?
It became ordinary, this thing, going into the 2020 election. The record will show that having halted the process, within the space of 2 years, we have given over 1,000 mining leases to undo everything that the halt was supposed to achieve. So I'm saying that this is a strategy. It's a strategy that we have done before. What's success story? What's success story?
Right. So the distinction of the issues are important. As to the point where because of the politics of things, soldiers were withdrawn.
They revert. Yes.
Then
So
led to
even with those who put their presidency
the
on the
gains
line.
that have been made.
Correct.
You see, that's what the concern is
making.
as to how to fend off these influencers, as you put it.
So let's
as
start
to
from the
continue
story.
and sustain.
I know President Mahama, and I can tell you, on this mining fight, it doesn't matter who you are. You can't influence him. 2, he has no election to contest again. And so he has his mind.
That's the more
Please. Even Anado, who had no election in 2024, what did he do?
You were making a point while I conclude on this.
I won't take this sermon from them.
Okay.
They should stay calm and let's talk about progress.
Thank you very much.
You were the people who were propping him
The number
up.
of messages I'll read. This one from Dr. Dua says...
Just 30 seconds. I think that on the issue of the use of force, I think that is the phase we need to get to now.
We'll long past that.
This is where we have gotten to. I think that when there is, you see, when people see that they try once and you respond in equal measure, press down, shaking together, next time they will be careful in trying to deploy.
So what is stopping you?
Oh, no, wait.
10 months?
Get there.
Okay,
When?
thank you very much.
No, but you see, the issue of the use of arms
Gentlemen,
is a recent
thank
thing.
you. This one
see
here
the
says,
responder will be coming
Dr. Dia
going
says,
forward.
how can anyone tell me and convince me that these operations are intelligence-led? We are putting government resources and Ghanaians at risk with the uncoordinated effort. What is the point of giving medicine at low, ineffective dose?
Yes.
What real backup did the EPA team have, and was the intelligence precise? Who planned this? How do you get in? How do you get out and achieve objectives? Thank you very much for the message. This one here says that when you are weak, you are a threat to peace, you say. It says this one here says that so far the conversation is gearing towards, I think it's just ended on the point that Lloyd Ditamaklo made. So far the conversation is gearing towards the acceptance of the use of force. Alfred, I would kindly encourage that your guest should be measured. I thought that's what measured in recommending the use of force. Force could be misapplied or overly applied, and that could also create another problem. The guiding principles in the application of force.
Soldiers have an operational strategy on the use of force. If you don't use force, they will not respond. And even in the use of force, soldiers are told where to hit and where to. So there are rules of engagement. So at that point, that will be done.
Thank you very much. This one here says, Musa Abatwa in Aswasi. Alfred, now it's clear that the fight against Galamsey has reached crescendo because the Galamseyers are gradually turning into rebel-like groups. I agree with Kofi Bentil on this, but I have confidence in this government ability to deal decisively with this existential threat. The NIMOs are an excellent intervention. You see, this one here also says if the EPA boss had been killed, she would. I think you are reiterating a point that Kofi Bento made. This is from Nana Genchi Amwako the 10th, a hunter in the west. That's a hunter west. Thank you. This one says, good morning. While we are all campaigning for the fight against Galamsey menace, we equally owe the duty to educate the public well. To acquire a mining lease in Ghana, the process takes not less than 60 days. Thus, it will be mischievous for anyone to suggest that the licenses issued in January were actually done, within this period by President Mohammed's government. More so, when as of the date of such issuance, sector ministers that should supervise such processes had not taken office. I agree, more must be done radically to win the fight, but let's also be objective. Patrick Fafali, Esquire, thank you very much for that message as well. This one here, coming in from Engineer Muhammad Abdullahi, says, good morning, Alfred. The story isn't about the narration. What is happening currently is what matters. You say, thank you very much for your message. Adolf Mate was watching us as well, and those of you watching us on the Voice of London television in the heart of the city of London, this one, he says, ask Api Akubi how he's able to be Wontemi's lawyer. Go to his area and see how long.
Where the matter issues.
Thank you. Adolf Mate is asking how yes. Maybe you want to respond to this.
Yes, let me respond to this. You see,
he said, no, the message in full. It says, how are you able to be Wontemi's lawyer and still talk about this fight against Galamsey and the successes that you have chalked in your constituency? Because these are two rivers that will never meet.
Yes.
So what's happening?
No, let me go. My work as a professional lawyer is to defend a client who has been arraigned before court and charged with offenses. My work is not to seek to exonerate anybody who would have done something against the law.
Okay.
So my work as an officer of the court is to assist the court to come to a judicious determination of the issues before the court.
Fantastic.
And that is exactly what
you have
I do.
explained the lawyer's work. You have explained the work of the lawyer. We agree.
In any case, my client has pleaded not guilty.
Okay.
And when he pleads not guilty, I must be with him in guiding him through the law to defend himself.
Until otherwise proven.
And in any case, the responsibility and duties are on the prosecution to establish his guilt or otherwise.
So I think you should have ended the very first point.
Okay, thank you.
It's okay. So prosecution has a duty and responsibility to establish the evidence
and to engage in police investigation.
Yes. So I am delivering service to a client as required by law within the law.
I see. Well, but this week you had cause to raise concerns about the Attorney General's strategy and with these, the fourth accused in this case, who had decided to serve as prosecution witness. That's the manager of Akonta Mining.
Okay.
Why do you have concerns about the AG accepting him to be a prosecution witness after he was accused?
Indeed. Let us not forget that the fourth accused person then was my client also. And that I took instructions from him. So whatever I had done for him in court was upon his instructions. Now, in course of the proceedings, the Attorney General finds a way to, I don't want to use the word, but to get him on his side. And I thought that that would explain my concept of poaching. Gets him on his side, and this guy starts talking profusely. He has filed a witness statement. And I thought that the Attorney General, also serving as the Minister of Justice, has a duty to ensure that the justice system is fair and that to all manner of persons, and that there should not be any attempt to undermine the course of justice. Attorney General's job, as in his capacity as Minister of Justice. And I was warning that it is important for Attorney General to realize that you wear two caps. Don't leave one behind and wear the only one. Because the two responsibilities are simultaneous, and the expectations are that you perform your other work considering that you have another responsibility in being sure that the judicial system is also rolling out judiciously.
No, but why do you describe...
Now, you have engaged the fourth accused person as your witness. What I'm saying, and I'm advising the fourth accused person, who was my client, that when you are applying the law, don't apply them in piecemeal. The whole of Section 59 of Act 30 has provisions beyond the 1 and 2, subsections 1 and 2. And the subsection 4 says that notwithstanding your discharge, you could still be prosecuted based on the evidence in the same facts. So I was just sounding that warning. And criminal action is not time barred. So any time in your life, you could be brought before the court to face charges. And when you are also given evidence like that, you should also be mindful that when the evidence is taken in without the presence of co-accused persons, it could not be binding on the co-accused persons. And again, when you come before a court in future and you have made some concessions, you have admitted some wrongdoing, these are evidence that will come for you to face. And when you have such evidence, you don't need to prefer any further evidence, because admission is admission. And therefore, you have to be mindful of what you think would be your evidence as a witness, because the law is also waiting for you one day. That is a warning that I sounded. But on the part of Attorney General, I would have thought that Attorney General would make sure that the judicial process will be better supported within the court. And in any case, Attorney General himself, as an officer of the court in the court, is duty bound to provide even evidence that will work to support that of the accused persons. You are not supposed to seek conviction at all costs. And therefore, an accused person like that, you approach him to come and provide evidence against another accused person. What are you seeking to get? Are you saying that he should, by all means, come and work against an accused person who is also standing before trial? And the chances are that this poached accused...
Well, why do you describe it as poached? Because the gentleman, that's what I was coming to, because the gentleman himself has indicated that he voluntarily,
yes,
without any duress or coercion.
Yes. And he forgets that he had conference with me also. And indeed, he forgets that he had conference with me. And indeed, during the conferencing also, he also indicated to me also that the office had come to him. And you think that
he told you that
he voluntarily went to him. At what point?
From who?
Check lawyer-client confidentiality.
No,
Has it been breached?
I have not said anything.
So senior,
but I'm only warning that.
No. They are borderline. If this communication came during conference, then the nature of disclosure is limited.
Wait a minute.
Maybe I'm just drawing your attention.
I'm only saying that he had conference with me. So when he said that,
so the nature of disclosure at conference.
I have not disclosed what he told me or what I told him or what came between us. But I'm only saying saying that he had conference with me.
Yeah, so leave it there.
No. He had conference with me, and the time of the conferencing and the time of the voluntary action.
Senior is trying to intimidate the witness.
No, I'm not.
Senior is trying to intimidate the willing witness. It's an intimidation strategy.
Very well. And I'm saying that he had conference with me, so you should be careful.
Oh, there's I see. You know, as lawyers, this is a strategy that is always deployed by defense attorneys. You see the way he pointed it? He smartly said, oh, okay, be chairman in conference. Be careful. And we won't say much. But that alone becomes a push and certain.
No. But this is, and I'll come to you, Mr. Mentor.
I know, you know the intimidation strategy.
He's saying that he is complaining about the choice of word poaching.
Yes.
And I say that at least he had conference with me. That is in answer to the accusation of me using the word poaching.
Okay.
I say at least he should be reminded that he had conference with me.
Right. That's why I pointed out his
narrative upon his instructions.
I see. His narrative was that he did this voluntarily without coercion or any form of inducement. That is in sharp contrast to your description of he becoming prosecution witness as poaching. That's what I wanted to point out. But this is the basis for his testimony, essentially. He said that he had been promised some money, 20,000 cedis every month, as the MD for Akonta Mining. Chama to me ended up paying him just 4,000 Ghana cedis for fuel. He was promised V8. The V8 never came.
These are matters
and then
in
he
the court.
says,
so our advice
the knowledge of the accused
until we go to court.
And he's talk about the operations of
he has filed a witness statement.
Yes.
So please.
And all the others that
I will not respond to this.
Is this unethical?
He has filed.
I'm not even asking you to respond to this.
No,
because yes, you are.
He has filed his
active
witness
party
statement
in this case.
It's a public document. Yeah.
Yes, and it's one that is out there, so it's not like we're breaching any.
Go ahead.
God, is this ethical, or it raises concerns as Lawyer Piakobi tries to put out?
Is it ethical or legal?
This is to you.
Okay, so
yes.
Can I go ahead now?
Yes, please.
Okay, my interest is not the 4 lawyers here. My interest is now the public.
Indeed.
So let me deal with this in a certain general sense.
Yes.
Listen, law is strategy. The practice of law is about using the law as a tool to get a certain set of goals.
Yes.
All right? So strategy, that is number one. So the prosecution has a strategy, the defense has a strategy. And one of the strategies in all war is spying, is to convert an enemy to a friend. Okay, and that is applied here. Now, but there are a few things here which I think I want to explain. One, the prosecutor is not duty bound to find guilt at all costs. A prosecutor's job is not to railroad the accused to the point where they are found guilty. The prosecutor's job is to seek and find truth, including exculpatory truth. Exculpatory truth is if in the course of his work he finds any evidence that releases the accused, he is duty bound to bring it to the fore for the person to go. Now, that duty notwithstanding, it is also the prosecutor's job to find guilt where it is due at the least cost possible. And when I say the least cost possible, the accused person can drag you around for years at a huge cost to the state before you finally fix their guilt. If therefore you have some accused persons who are of a minor degree, because there are degrees to everything, okay, it is proper, it is desirable, it is entirely within his duty to flip lower level accused persons if they have information which is valuable in the fixing of the guilt of the higher level, like the kingpins. Okay, so let me make this general point that what the Attorney General has done is entirely proper.
It's proper.
It's entirely lawful. However, moral issues arise.
Or even in the legal issues.
Okay.
Even in the legal issues, reference the appropriate law.
I know what we
won't finish this one today. But
yes, that's why
the general stuff to the public is it's proper, it's legal, but moral issues arise. Now, those moral issues can later tend to bite you. That's what.
But I'm even helping you with the legal issues. Even the appropriate.
You come to you.
Just give me 1 sec.
I'll come to you.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. Now, it is my view, however, that because the AG occupies a public office and he is not a judge, because all trials are public in nature, the flipping of a witness involves the exercise of a judicial discretion. Somebody who is otherwise guilty, or you've accused the person, on the way to prove their guilt, you choose to change that one, okay, so that you flip them. It is my personal view. It is yet to be fully adjudicated that Article 296 applies. What that does is it clears some of the moral and other lingering legal issues. On what conditions will you say somebody who has killed somebody, okay, should not be tried, but should turn around and rather become the accuser of other persons who have also killed somebody? Okay, so we need to deal with these things as we move on.
Okay.
Now, I think Lapi Akubu was also saying something that sometimes when you flip, you are involved in crossing yourself. And when you do that, you put yourself in jeopardy. Okay, so it is not easy. Let's say it's not easy on the person who has been flipped, and it's not easy on the AG who has also flipped somebody. You can get into a point where it complicates your life and can lead to the acquittal of the accused person. So it is not that easy, but what people must understand is that this is entirely proper. It puts more pressure.
It's lawful.
It's lawful. It is proper, actually, in terms of public policy and other things. But it puts pressure on Piakubui.
Let's say it has
However,
consequences.
Everything has consequences. Okay? But however, that pressure can easily be flipped. So for me, it is important that we understand this in principle. My hope is that these things will be done quickly and disposed of quickly, and properly and efficiently.
The cases, you mean?
Yeah, the cases. Okay. Done, without too much of this trading.
Just what I wanted to add to.
Dr. Kennedy was nodding. I just wanted to
something to add to
acknowledge the presence of Edem Senanu as well. He's the coach of the citizen movement against corruption. Because I need to end on this.
Before we lose it, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
Quick one.
All that we are doing is in reference to the governing law, and the governing law, mining and minerals, in bracket health, safety and technical regulations, 2012, LI 2182. And I reference sections 34 to 44
of the mining LI.
Of the LI.
But Act 30 is what we are working.
Yes. And Act 30, I have referred you to subsection 4 of Act 30 59. Section 59.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm also referencing you to 34 to 40.
So what's the point? What's the point exactly?
Of the mining regulations.
So your point, yeah.
And that goes to support the position you made of responsibility levels.
I see. Okay, so, Dr. Kennedy.
That's all that I want to say.
A quick one on this. I come to legitimate.
Their discussion on flipping the witness.
Yes. In this case, it's not a flip in the sense of the word, because then the gentleman is saying that, he decided to be a prosecution witness. He wasn't flipped or given any office per se.
In my experience, even though I don't practice law, it is done all the time. And RICO cases and other things, when they are trying people involved in drugs or major crime. So that is entirely appropriate. Of course, there are guidelines that ought to be followed. So I think that if there are sections, the Attorney General ought to explore them, and any person who is accused should do the best to defend themselves. But I think that Attorney and MP Apiakubi's comments are interesting. Yes, the Attorney General has a duty for truth and he's not obligated to convict, but he's also acting in the public interest. Before he brings a case, he ought to believe that probably a crime has been committed. So he doesn't just get up on a whim and go to court. So he must believe that there is probable reason to believe that somebody has committed a crime. And I completely support his willingness to deal with somebody so that he could convict higher ups. In fact, it might be that Wontumi himself, this is just speculative, can say that, yes, you think I am one of the major people involved, but I can tell you the whole story about Galamsey and all the big politicians involved. And in return for that, maybe he himself might not go to prison because he will help us unravel Galamsey involving higher ups. So I say that the Attorney General is on the right path and he should deliver the best he can for Ghana. But he should not accept 80% and all that and let people go. That part of it and nolly prosequis, I don't agree with those.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Adam Senano, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, just a quick one on this development, the fight against Galamsey, and then also this position that Lawyer Piakobi raises concerns about his former client now becoming a prosecution witness.
Well, let me first of all align with Kofi Bentel and Dr. Arthur Kennedy when we talk about crisis. In my view, there's a frighteningly high disconnect on one hand, and on the other hand, a denial that we have a crisis on our hands, and both are bad. The disconnect where people don't see the extent to which this affects all of us existentially. And then on the other hand, the group of people who know that we have a problem, but they are in denial about the magnitude of the challenge that we face. And whichever case, crisis requires radical actions. The question is whether at the moment we are being as radical as we ought to be. And indeed, when the president spoke and said he was unable to call a state of emergency, I had serious, concerns. I mean, in my mind, I wished we had looked at it as a state of emergency. And I was wondering, do the security couples really know where we are, whoever is advising him? Are we going to regret this along the way? Let me take a step back. 3 years ago is when I started this journey with the Galamsey issue, where when Akonta entered the forest, the minister...
Hello? I think I lost Adam Senano there.
3 years ago is when some of us started this journey. At the time, Akonta Mani had entered the forest. The minister had said it was illegal. The head of the Minerals Commission had said it was illegal. After 3 months, there had been no action. So some of us were very bothered. What kind of society where people are doing the wrong thing with impunity and nobody's taking action? So I agreed with a few people, Martin Pebu and whatnot. We drove to the police station, the police headquarters, to find out what's going on. Fortunately, they took us to the head of criminal investigation for Sinakofi, who sent us to the head of investigations, Inko. And I just want to recollect how we seem to have a dysfunctional situation that after 2 months, nothing had happened. And we're told the police or criminal investigation has started no investigation because no citizen had reported. This was a Friday. So we had to go back on a Monday, and I was asking myself, what kind of governance do we have where unless a citizen comes to say, I'm reporting something, no action is taken? Still, it reminds me of a situation in Nigeria, and I'm saying this because I want to make some recommendations. This is not the only place where we seem to have a crisis where we are not acting. Corruption is another of those places. But in 2006, 2007, I'd been invited by Chevron Nigeria to help them set up a sustainable livelihoods program. Right. What had happened is that the government of Nigeria, based on the legal regime, was taking, I think, 15 to 20% of payment from the oil companies.
Okay.
And this money was supposed to be going into the communities and spaces where oil resources were being taken, given back to the community so that they don't get into, the kind of criminal activity that is expected.
Right.
Now, somehow, that never happened. And so you found the young people kidnapping oil company workers, and some of us were brought in to try and change the situation. What happened? The oil companies had to reach into further reserves. So they were already paying 15 to 20% to government, which was not reaching the communities. They ring-fenced another 10 to 15% to bring some of us as consultants to resolve it. I am suggesting that if government is to lead effectively, I remember last year saying this, that government cannot lead this fight. And at the time, I didn't find the government being responsive. I think that government is going to have to bring on board greater consultation, collaboration, and involvement of stakeholders to more effectively lead this fight.
Right.
And I'm saying that because pointing out is this. The banking system there had to look for additional resources to give back to those communities, to stop the young men. I remember some of the communities were so dysfunctional. You go, the elderly people would not speak to us because they said when the young men came, they'll beat them up. The resource curse is what they call it. If we don't expand the level of collaboration and working together, the deepening of the sense of the crisis, I am not sure we'll be able to deal with this the way and the trajectory we have taken at the moment. We need more actors on board and more innovative strategies to get results on this matter.
Thank you. And Lady Tramaklo, on this, well, like Kofi even Lawyer Piakubi himself, all agree that what the Attorney General is doing is legal and is proper, but there is what they call the moral consequences of going on this path of accepting accused persons to serve as prosecution witnesses. Any concerns in there? Quickly.
I recall many years ago in my industrial economics class, game theory, and we always had to do with the idea of the prisoner's dilemma, and where you needed to provide incentive for like-minded people. But incentive alone can change their outlook, towards certain things. And I mean, as a lawyer, we have deployed the skills of game theory, even in how we project our case and building your case theory. And so when an attorney general decides, or for want of better words, by way of his strategy, decide that, okay, I can use an accused person to get a certain outcome without compromising the basic tenets of criminal justice, that is fair trial. What the focus of the Attorney General at all material time is, how do I either get an acquittal, a conviction, without compromising the basic rules of fair trial? What are the basic rules? So, for instance, the right of an accused person to disclosure. Have you impaired it? So that even if there are exculpatory evidence, you must fully disclose that to the accused person. Have you done that? If you have, you are completely covered by the rules of engagement. Currently in South Africa, there are two people who were to be tried for the murder of two black women who had moved onto a farm at night and they were shot. Now, after that, the police arrested two, a black and a white guy, the white guy being the farm owner. The Attorney General, the prosecutor in South Africa, decided to use, the laborer, quote unquote, against his boss. And as we speak today, the guy is testifying in court against his boss. And what is the nature of his testimony? He says that, look, he was with his boss when they heard noises in the bush, and they fired into the noise, killing the two women. And after killing, in order to bury the evidence, their bosses asked them to feed the bodies to, quote unquote, their pigs.
I see.
And then the gun, the rifle that was used, the boss asked that the wooden part of the rifle, right, should be bent because it's wooden.
Yes.
The metallic part should be, destroyed and put in a borehole more or less to cover the evidence. That's his testimony that he's offering for the prosecution against his boss. Now, when you are done with this, defense will have the benefit of cross-examination.
True.
That benefit of cross-examination is what you use to undermine the prosecution's case. And so, in your testimony, you can do whatever. I have done a case where my client was alleged to have signed a payment voucher, right? The co-signature, the co-signatory was the one who came to testify against him. As usual. The person who co-signed the signature with him was the one. And this was just in 2017. He came to testify against his DG, who he co-signed with. If there was a loss, then you should have been a co-accused. But you see, we all do know that the fundamental principle of law is that, you see, the confession statement of a co-accused is not binding on the other person.
Exactly.
You understand? The confession statement of a co-accused is not binding on the other one. And listen carefully, unless that other person has taken positive steps to admit the nature of that confession. Okay. So it is called confession statement. But you see, like we always say, when a prosecutor goes to court, he builds a case theory and parades a certain number of witnesses to do the work for him. So you can have an expert witness, you can have a witness of facts. That witness of fact is somebody who says, I was there. Personal knowledge, he was there. An expert witness only comes in to provide a certain level of expertise. And usually the court treats expert witness with a lot of caution because they are traditionally not bound, except to say that if there's an expert witness, unless there's a rival opinion, you are bound to accept it. But you see, what for me is quite telling in all of this is the clear admission by the specific witness in the Wontumi matter, where he makes the point that he approached the prosecution. That for me is quite revealing. People in life have different motivations. The man says that, listen, in the heat of everything, when people were doing free Wontumi, free whatever, and free and the Apia Kubi. You understand? In the midst of all of them, nobody say free Akwaku. And that he felt that.
So what evidential benefit will that be?
He felt that if you look at the accusation against Wontumi, there are some that carry 15 years. And that should Wontumi, and he uses the word God forbid, should Wontumi be convicted, a future MPP government can pardon him, but nobody will remember him. So quite clearly, as an accused turned prosecution witness, he had clearly given an indication that at all material time, he was in charge of the mining operation for and on behalf of Akunta. What we should never run away from is the fact that the narrative as to Akunta mining's involvement in the Tano Numre whatever started with the then Minister for Lands and Natural Resource, my senior Abu Jinapo, if you recall. So the problems of Akunta mining did not start today. In fact, if you look at the factual matrix, the time of the offense is about 2022. So let us not confuse the issues. And this prosecution witness had made it abundantly clear that Yantimian processes. Those are his words.
Okay.
Processes, no. The question is, what processes is he alluding to? If those were the things that will culminate in legitimate and valid mining license, and you do not have it, then the Attorney General. So the Attorney General in this specific case, and from the witness statement that he filed, like you alluded to, his testimony is very close. He's not that kind of witness who is all over the place. Very strict. Did you go through the legal, lawful process? Oh, please hold on. Did you go through the lawful legal process of acquiring a mining lease? The man says, if they couldn't then the rest. And like I said,
so
the way...
When was he interrogated?
Oh, please, sit down. It's not about the interrogation. I have had a case, and I'll show you a personal experience. I'll just bring. In a case I did, the accused person, the case was first investigated by Yoko. At that time, he was an accused or a suspect. So he gave a statement to Yoko. After Yoko finished, the case was given to the CID to re-investigate. This time round, he was no longer an accused, and he gave a different statement. So during discoveries, I had the benefit of the statement he gave to Yoko, and I confronted him under cross-examination. These are all skill sets the defense would also have. Okay. For me, what I like with what is going on in all of this is the Attorney General has completely worked within the confines of the rules of engagement. It is different when an Attorney General, okay, goes to meet somebody and say, can you talk to this person to help me do A, B, C, D?
This table you are shaking.
Then that is where it becomes a problem.
Thank you.
No, there's no politics.
Thank you very much.
There's no politics.
Thank you very much.
No, it's not. So I am just saying that in this particular case, what the Attorney General has done is strictly to work within the confines of the law.
Now, that leads us into our next issue. Gentlemen, thank you very much. There are quite a number of messages I would acknowledge. This one here says, good morning. It's coming from lawyer Parko Akwe. We don't have a republic anymore. What we have are pockets of destructive self-interest that alternate amongst themselves every now and then. You say, thank you very much. And then this takes us to our next issue. Look, earlier in the week,
so let me be recorded that I'm not commenting.
Yes.
I have my strategy.
Indeed.
At any point in time,
you will deploy.
A strategy will come out.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, the special prosecutor sat with KSM earlier in the week.
Don't disclose.
And the special prosecutor says, gentlemen, thank you. The special prosecutor says that, look, those who are calling for his head because Kenneth Oyata exited the jurisdiction when it was apparent that he was going to be a subject or an interest of a number of investigations. They have been unfair to him. And this is why. This is what he told KSM. Take a look.
Always work together with Attorney General. Attorney General in turn should hold our hands. We are working for one republic, one Ghana. The main perpetrator from our standpoint, the main perpetrator had no intention of returning back to the country. Of course, he had left the country earlier in the year during the transition. Mm-hmm. Now we should place this in proper context because we've attracted some flag that why did we allow him to go? Mr. Misa, he left before 7 January. Between 1st, I know the exact date, but I'm not going to mention it. All I'm saying is between 1st and 6th January, he had left. Who was in power during those few days? And we don't control the airports. We don't control the exit. The OSP doesn't control the exit points. But we are taking flag day in and day out. Why did we allow him? Let me put it this way. His cousin was president. Let's face facts.
Yeah.
Before John Dramani Mahama was sworn in on 7 January, Nana Akufo-Addo was the president.
Yeah.
That was his cousin. He had kept him in the office for more than 7 years. And I said, when he left, the president was Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
At the time he left, we were not getting the cooperation at the time from other security agencies.
You weren't getting any cooperation?
No, we're not.
You had asked them?
Oh, we asked for all that, but we were not. It was as if there was a policy of block the OSP out. That was what we were facing, and that was the circumstances under which we were being expected to perform. I think I've complained about these things over national security. No, at the time. The situation is different now. National Signals Bureau, no, at the time. The situation is different now. National Intelligence Bureau, zero.
Well, that's the special prosecutor. Lawyer Martin Peeble is one of a number of people who say that he should be held responsible. I mean, the special prosecutor should be held responsible for the exit of Ken Ofori-Atta when we all knew, in his view, that then again it was going to be a subject of investigation. Kofi Bentel has held a position that this process of getting Ken Ofori-Atta to answer questions can start in absentia. The OSP thinks otherwise. Now, Martin Peeble, you listen to the OSP. He says, one, they don't control the airways. Secondly, when Ken Ofori-Atta was leaving this country, his cousin, the president, obviously was still in power between January 1 and January 6. So why do you blame him, really, for the exit of Ken Ofori-Atta when he couldn't have had anything to do with it? And in fact, he didn't have the support of all the other agencies. Lawyer.
Yeah, so, Mr. Ocansey, you see, last week I told you that I suspected collusion between Kissi Ejabin and Ken Ofori-Atta.
Why?
There you have it. You see Gbeshi or Popo Blibli has caught Kissi Ejabin to come and confess. You heard the statement. He said he watched Ken Ofori-Atta leave. He watched leave. He was powerless to prevent it. He went to immigration service, didn't get help. He went to NIB, didn't get help. When the obvious answer and the best was around, that tell the sovereign, the owner of the country, the ultimate decider of things in this republic, that is the people of Ghana. That is the people of Ghana. Look, Mr. Ocansey, let's not forget, Kissi Ejabin is a first-class graduate of law. And Kissi doesn't understand the constitution, that the ultimate decider of major decisions in Ghana is the public. Inform the people. That is the preamble to the constitution. Sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana. Article 1, Clause 1. Sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana, and for whose benefit, blah, 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 the power is exercised. Then you go to Article 125. And then the other day, of course, Adam Senano added Article 35 for us. And even apart from using the word sovereignty, there are many other provisions of the Constitution that show that when you have difficulty, go to the public. Transparency. I told you Kissi Ejabin is more corrupt than Ken Ofori-Atta himself.
Why do you say this? I mean,
that is it.
Are you not being unfair? We just have to dissociate ourselves from this. But are you not being unfair to the OSP?
But that is it.
I mean, what is the proof of this statement that is more corrupt? And as we disassociate ourselves from it.
The proof of it is in his connivance with Ken Ofori-Atta.
What's the evidence of the connivance you talk about?
That he himself, the statement, he says he watched Ken Ofori-Atta leave. And look at all the places he was going to. Look, that he went to immigration, he went to NIB, he went to national security. Who doesn't know that Atubra Kweku is Gabi's boy, NIB boss at the time? Atubra Kweku worked for Gabi. He was Gabi's boy. He worked in Dankwa Institute. If you go to national security, the national security head at the time, Edward Asumani, also worked for Gabi. He said Gabi boy. He worked for Dankwa Institute. So, and then Dampare and Faustina and Dokufi, we've already dealt with them. You know how, even on common Akunta mining, they didn't act. So that was the evidence. I told you, look, Mr. Ocansey, there is more to come. When you do investigations in the OSP office, the corruption cases we are hearing, it will blow your mind. But I'll wait one by one. When we present the petition for the removal of Kissi Ejabin, you will see the corruption cases that will come up against him. It's no joke. Look, even this SML matter.
You're going to present a petition. You're going to present a petition for the removal of the special prosecutor Kissi Ejabin?
Absolutely. The corruption is stinking. Kissi Ejabin. Oh my God.
No, but
listen.
I mean, that's why I said that as you're able to prove it beyond reasonable doubt, on this platform, we cannot obviously associate with that. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That
yes, and I'm also telling you that
you have to put, you say you're going to put a petition, right?
Yes, because it's staggering. This SML matter. Look, this matter was with the head of investigations, Emmanuel Basintale, and his team. Kissi Ejabin took it away from them to go and give some less qualified people. I'm telling you, this SML matter, go check in the special prosecutor office. It was with Emmanuel Basintale. Emmanuel Basintale was a police, at least DSP, and he was Kissi's former client. So the matter is in public there. But he was in charge of it with his team, for over a year. And Kissi took it and went to give another officer who used to work at GRA. You don't know this officer will be conflicted. This officer has a fight to pick with GRA, etc. So we're seeing matters of conflict of interest. That's the point I'm making. Look, be careful. Be careful. There are a lot of other issues we could raise, but perhaps because of time, listen, I may have to jump onto a bus now. Yes. So I'm telling you that there are a lot of corruption cases that are brewing in the OSP itself. The Office of Special Prosecutor has become a crime scene, And I'm telling this to you on authority. Let's go conduct a poll in the OSP office today. You will see the myriad of allegations against Kissi. Look, ask yourself. I want Kissi Ejabin to answer this question. Are there 2 employees of the OSP who are currently working as like house helps in his home? In his home, are there 2 members of staff who are currently working as house helps? Meanwhile, they are on the OSP payroll. Kissi Ejabin should tell the people of Ghana who is Kwabena Boateng Edu, popularly called Baron. Who is Kwabena Boateng Edu, popularly called Santa Baron?
So you're going to put all of this in a petition. You say you're going to present a petition with all of this in there. But then again, if you listen to him, he says at the time, all the other agencies that were supposed to support him left him essentially, and he was on his own.
So what happened to the court?
And had to put.
That's why I told you that. So what happened to the people of Ghana?
So you wanted him to come and address a press conference and tell us that this is what he's trying to do and he's facing these challenges. He's not getting the support of the other agencies.
Absolutely. That is what the Constitution requires, because sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana. The preamble, Article 1, Article 35, Article 125, etc. And let's look at one practical example. When Akufo-Addo was interfering in the work of the OSP, and Martin Amidou blew his whistle. Till date, you see how Akufo-Addo has lost reputation forever. Akufo-Addo will go to his grave as the most disgraceful president.
Now, you see, you held the view, and I asked a specific question. Now, you are going and making references to other matters. What I asked was, what would have been the effect of the press conference if the special prosecutor comes to tell us that this is what I'm doing, I'm not getting the support of the other institutions? What would have happened afterwards?
So number one, what I meant by referring to Akufo-Addo is public opinion. So immediately, people were going to get upset on the various radio stations, the internet, the social media, the Gen Z. The public opinion would have gone high. And every government derives its legitimacy from public opinion. So once the public opinion, like we are doing now, as we are doing this TV program, we are shaping public opinion, etc. So with this, it was going to push the authorities to cooperate, because
Can you imagine if Atubra Kweku heard that the people of Ghana have heard that he's the one not cooperating? Then quickly Atubra will know that, hey, people will soon say, because he used to work for Gabi, that's why, and Gabi is Gabi is related to Furiata, and Gabi is Ekufuado's brother. That's why he's doing so. Then Edward Asumani, National Security Boss, the same argument would have come up. IGP, Faustina and Kofi, then immigration boss at the time, Kwame Esuatichi, the same thing that, Esuatichi, you had issues with immigration, etc., but it was Gabi who put you there.
So, but this is public opinion. How much of currency would that have in the scheme of things?
Oh, public opinion is everything in this particular context. I'm telling you, and you know, at that time, ORA was also working. We had Kofi Boachi on ORA and other security backups. You think if this thing had come up, we would have left Oforiatta to travel? I'm telling you that Kisi connived Oforiatta to leave. That is the collusion.
Until that is proven, would you say
and that is the proof?
The proof that what? Because
he
exited.
I saw him leave. That I watched him leave, and before watching him leave, he says he went to National Security, he went to NIB, he went to police, etc. He was going to all the wrong places because these people were not independent. He was going to all the wrong places. I'm telling you, he was going to all the wrong places. Before then, didn't he know that there will be press conferences? Didn't he say Jabin know that he could do press conferences? Didn't he do Ankwa Noma press conference where he came and sang to the people, but he gave very woolly, very vague words? Didn't he know Ankwa Noma? He couldn't come back to do Ankwa Noma part 2, like we did Kumipreku part 2. You know Kumipreku demonstration in the 90s. But in 2022, didn't I lead Ghanaians to do Kumipreku Reloaded, Kumipreku part 2? So that is why, and I'm telling you that Kisi is supposed to be very intelligent. He's a first-class graduate, University of Ghana, first class. And Kisi doesn't know that he should inform the people of Ghana. Mr. Ocansey, yes, I know you are playing devil's advocate. So let me repeat. Kisi says he went to NIB, didn't get help. He went to National Security, didn't get help. He went to immigration, didn't get help. But the obvious and glaring answer, tell the people of Ghana so that public opinion will shape this matter. He kept mute. That is the connivance. That is the collusion. That is aiding and abetting crime.
Let me hear from
obstruction of justice.
I see. And
that is corruption. That is corruption.
Stay. Stay. Because Adam said, I know this position that Lawyer Matipebo takes about the narrative of the special prosecutor in this Ken Oforiatta issue is that to the extent that he admits that, yes, he saw him leave, but because he couldn't get the assistance of the other agencies, he was powerless. And the powers that be were against him in that process. To the extent that the special prosecutor failed to come to the people, the Ghanaian people, as he's done in a number of the press conferences, that he comes to update us on investigations to Ken Oforiatta's case. He never mentioned this particular issue until this interview with KSM last week, when he had instances of press conferences prior to last week. This was never put out until just last week. Why is that?
Well, thank you, Alfred. First of all, let me also, like you and TV3, dissociate myself from the very strong comments my very good friend Martin has made on this particular issue. We fully disagree. I think it's important to listen clinically to what the special prosecutor said in that interview. And sometimes attention to detail is critical when you are drawing conclusions and relevant conclusions for that matter. It is clear that the special prosecutor this was a nuanced response where he was reflecting on the general conditions that the office of the special prosecutor was working under and saying that, listen, and it was not in reference only to the issue of the case involving Mr. Ken Oforiatta. What he was saying was that in general, the office of the special prosecutor was experiencing a hiatus where other agencies were refusing clearly appeared to be like what you call, there was a blackout. There was some kind of agreement that, look, we are not going to give these guys any more information. And so wherever they went trying to seek collaboration towards achieving a particular purpose, they were not getting that assistance. So his comments were not that in relation to Ken Ofriatta, we went to NIB to try and get him to arrest him. No. He was saying that in general, we were not getting any support because the government of the day wasn't willing to. Now, I would like us to bear in mind that Mr. Ken Ofriatta, this is somebody where over 100 MPs wrote a petition because they found something that they thought should be changed. And the presidency was unwilling to do so. So I can very well understand where the special prosecutor was coming from. Mind you, when the reason for which the minister requested permission to exit was told Ghanaians, many Ghanaians, including myself, felt that the special prosecutor should slow down. The man says he has a health condition. He says he's seeking help. The medical facility information, the lawyers are saying they'll get the information and so on and so forth. Remember the backlash that the special prosecutor experienced when the lawyers and the man himself said, listen, it's a health condition, that's why I had to go, and so on and so forth. So I'm not quite sure this expectation by Martin that coming to the general population, and mind you, this is a subject in an investigation. This is not somebody that criminal charges have been proffered. There's no specific charges at the time. So under what conditions were the people of Ghana supposed to stop this individual? And mind you, he says that I'm going for a health review or a surgery. I think that all of this is far-fetched. And I'm not too happy with the situation where a lawyer of his standing just comes on a national platform and begins to make allegations. I think that we should do things differently.
So we disassociate ourselves from it. You have done so. But then again, the fundamental question I ask is why this information had to be kept away from the people. I think that's the crux of the matter that he puts out.
I'm not quite sure any information was kept away from the people. I think that's a disingenuous way of interpreting the situation. I think that's a disingenuous way of interpreting the situation.
You're entitled to your description, but then again, the question is hinged on the fact that he has addressed a number of press conferences. Have you heard him, the OSP, put out this information that he tried to stop Ken Ofriatta from leaving this country?
Remember that the OSP has a mandate to report back to the people every 6 months, which is by law. And he has done that faithfully. There's no gainsaying that is not a situation that if, for example, in my mind, the expectation was that on the 2nd of June. I'm answering it. Yes. Just slow down. I'll answer your question. The expectation was that there was a commitment to showing up on the 2nd of June of this year. Because not only had the lawyers come to negotiate that, the gentleman himself has said, I would be available on the 2nd of June. The turnaround, or let's say the clear point at which everybody could say, now, this man is not showing up, was after the 2nd of June. Now, it is after the 2nd of June that many people are just saying that, now, why was this man even able to leave in the first place? Because on hindsight, none of us could have predicted that initially. So there was no basis on which you would have the special prosecutor coming to make this kind of statement right up to June. There was no basis. And in my view, after June, you could see that right from the 2nd of June, they then wrote to ask for the red alert and so forth. So the question on my mind would be, after June, what was the opportunity for the special prosecutor to speak to this issue? And is coming to speak to this in October far-fetched? And I think that would be stretching it if we are trying to suggest that from January he should have spoken to it. Because we would have contended with him. The lawyer says he will come. He himself says he will come. Well, on what basis? What basis was he going to come and say the man is not going to come back?
Well,
don't see how that would have materialized.
You see, there's an element of the public updates and disclosures that you referenced that he says every 6 months. But even within the 6 month period, he had addressed a number of press conferences. right?
Yes, but I said it was only 3 days it was 3 or 4 days to June 2nd before he said the surgery had been rescheduled and therefore he's not able to make it at that time. So what are we talking about? The chronology is important in drawing the conclusions. And I'm saying I myself felt that the SP was going too far when they were demanding that he should be so and so. I was like, if the man has a health condition, let's allow him. Let's make sure he gets through that. And then legitimately, as everybody who is in leadership, you should be willing to come and account. So I'm not quite sure how we are interpreting this in the context of the chronology.
28 minutes after 10, I need to go for the script. I'll come to you, gentlemen. But we're live on the Voice of London Radio in the heart of the city of London, also on 3FM 92.7. Let me tell you about the UGL Premier Fresh Mineral Water. And this comes in 3 main forms. The bottled form, 500 ml. You also have the dispenser as well. And then you would have this one. So there's 1 liter. You can call them. Yes, a UGL Premier Fresh is a natural mineral water from the University of Ghana, Legon. Yes. So this sourced from the natural sources of water with no chemicals whatsoever. That's a UGL Premier Fresh natural mineral water. Refresh your life. You can give them a call. Refresh, hydrate, and thrive with the pure refreshment. Call them on 0561 814444, 0561 814444, 055 060 150, 055 060 150 for some more details as well. And let me tell you about Blue Financial Services. With Blue Financial Services, and they are giving you all you need to get as a public worker, and then also for those of you who are within the areas of looking for many forms of investment. At Blue Financial Services Ghana Limited, our fixed deposit and investment options give you relaxed and protected investment with competitive rates, flexible tenors. Whether you are an individual or a business, Blue Financial Services makes your money work for you harder so you can relax and watch it grow. Walk into our Osu branch today or call us on 030-396-8196, 030-396-8196 to start your investment journey. With Blue Financial Services, your trust truly ends more. Blue Financial Services Ghana Limited, trust in Blue. I'll tell you as well about the Ocean Bells Travel and Tour. They are giving you exclusive packages to Dubai and beyond. 4 nights of unforgettable celebrations between the 23rd and 27th December 2025 in Dubai. Unwrap the magic of Dubai. Hotel accommodation with breakfast from day 2 onwards, return transfers from Dubai International Airport, meet and greet assistance, desert safari with barbecue and live entertainment. Also half-day Dubai City Tour, sharing transfer. I'm talking about the Ocean Bells Travel and Tour. They would assist you with a UAE tourist visa and return tickets as well. You can go on the Google Play Store or the App Store and download the Ocean Bells GH app. And you can buy affordable flight tickets there with a 10% discount. For those of you who are watching us on Keypoint right now, if you use the Ocean Bells app to buy your flight ticket, you enjoy 10% discount on all flight tickets. They have partnerships with Emirates, Qatar Airlines, Brussels Airlines, Turkish Airlines, Ethiopia Airlines, Askai, Egypt Air, TAP Portugal, South Africa Airways, Kenya Airways, Royal Air Maroc, Africa World Airlines, and Air Peace Airlines as well. Give them a call on 0242 037 280, 0242 037 280 for some more information. As always, I'll be back shortly after this quick break. My guests would have their take on this kind of Rayata matter. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Keep On TV3. And Dr. Bento, on this, does the OSP have any grounds of justification whatsoever in this interview he granted? Does it answer the questions for you?
I really think that if he will listen to me, I'll say he should talk less, honestly. Because the issue of was he justified to say this or not justified to say this, given the position that he's in and the circumstances surrounding this whole kind of issue, he should talk less. Look, I am on record as having been, I was the first person
indeed
who challenged him and said, prosecute Ken.
Yes.
All right? Mm-hmm. And I made the point, no lawyer will tell Ken or advise Ken to come to Ghana. And the law is on the side of the OSP to go ahead and prosecute him in absentia and question why he has not prosecuted him. Today, as we speak, nothing new has happened. Ken has still not come to Ghana. The OSP has managed to do his investigation, etc., and is now promising to prosecute Ken in this November.
By the end of the month, yes.
What kept him all this time? What kept him? I have commended the AG and to that extent the OSP for speaking publicly about some of the cases they are doing. Because they don't have a responsibility to do so.
Sure.
But because they occupy public office and there's public interest, it is proper for them to keep us apprised of what they are doing. But I think that sometimes they speak too much. And in this particular case, I think the OSP should tone down. Look, I have given my personal support to OSP Kisi. I'm one of the people who crusaded for that office to come into place. And Kisi is a very fine lawyer, one of the best criminal legal minds in this country. I have no questions in those terms, but I am not too satisfied with how he has conducted this particular kind of issue. And all the things coming up, kind of support my point. In the first place, what kept him from doing what he's doing now way back then? All right? And why is he doing what he's doing now at this time? And if you are going to do it, are you telling me as the OSP that you didn't take any steps simply because somebody else was in power? If somebody else was in power and you had a job to do, do it. Do your job, put the order down there that the man can travel ABC and let somebody else, flout it. All right? So my own view would be that, look, I think the OSP should talk less. He says he's going to proceed to charge Ken. Proceed and charge Ken. The law is on your side to go ahead and try him. His lawyers have told you that they are prepared to cooperate. They are prepared to come and defend him. He himself has told you that he's prepared to deal with you on video because he's sick. He cannot come. He has a right. Even if he comes, he has a right not to speak. Okay? So I really can't understand the real value of the OSP continuing to make a case about Ken. And sometimes people think that he's trying to court public animosity against him. And to a very large extent, he succeeded. Okay, right. I have taken a lot of opprobrium for saying that no good lawyer will advise Ken to come to Ghana, which is true. And the proof of what I've said is the fact that he has now gone ahead and said, I am going to charge him in November. Why haven't you done it all this time? There's been too much talk, too little action, and I think the talk is going on. The talk must stop. He should calm down and focus on doing the work in a court of law.
I see. Lapa Akubi, at the time to consider a trial in absentia, you say?
Yes, I remember when we were developing this law in Parliament, there was this contention of whether or not pursuant to the conviction in absentia, the application for seizure of property ought to be done in the presence of the accused person. And then the cry of the leadership of the time was that, yes, let us ensure that the person is in court before this order would be applied for. So it was made a condition for the application that we must serve the accused person, the convict. And I was also telling our leadership that it is possible that the convict, somebody tried in absentia, convicted, could step out of the country, and it will be difficult to bring him to the court. Right. This one, I'm sure one of our leaders then, who told me to go and sit down because they have to do the job, I told him that in the practical situation, it will be difficult, problematic. This is where we are getting to. Now, the law says that we must serve him, he must be present in court. How do we ensure post-conviction?
Yeah, but we are not gotten there.
Yes, but so even where we get there,
Okay.
How do we bring him to court to exercise that option? Okay. But again, on my good friend OSP, I think he has police powers under Section 28 of the Act. Mm-hmm. So what prevented him from arresting him?
Arresting Ken Ofori-Atta?
Yes, he could have. When you have the police powers, he could have.
He could have.
He could have.
Only through immigration.
No, yes. He could have. His office could have arrested him.
He can't travel.
Number two,
so
there is something we call
he not having the cooperation of the other police.
No. He was a lame. That is a lame argument. Number two, he could have applied to a court for an absconding warrant. Absconding warrant, you don't need a president or anybody. Just go to court and apply. This man, we are investigating him for ABCD. He is a flight risk, as we are saying. We have information of him
whole purpose of that provision.
Yes, we have information that he is about to fly out of the country. His absence from the country will impede our investigation, and therefore, and the court will grant the absconding warrant. Just place it there. Every security person who comes across him will have to arrest him.
Without a court order, he could have seized his passport.
Yes.
Issued an immigration.
Because he has the powers to search,
to do that.
To search and even to freeze. So he could not exercise all that. But beyond all that, he could have gone for an absconding warrant.
Which could have also kept him. Not living there.
So this excuse of we are not helping.
Okay, let's talk on this quickly, and I'll end with.
Yes, I think on the issues of the special prosecutor, I strongly believe that, in the fight against corruption, I remember in the beginning, I had my own reservation about the office, starting, and then when Martin came in, and then subsequently Kisi. Over the period, I think the SP had demonstrated, I think maybe in Ghana here, when NDC, MPP are all after you, you may really be a very special person. To the point that when he was doing Cecilia Dapa, the whole MPP machinery...
Who said
calm down. The whole MPP machinery was after him in the Cecilia Dapa probe. And today, it does appear that there is a certain conversation, the reverse. He must really be a very special prosecutor. I think, from where I sit, that what he needs to be, afforded is the encouragement to do his work. I personally, where I sit, I don't think that he's done anything unprofessional. The threshold that you need to pass, that you become a liability in the fight against corruption, I don't think the special prosecutor has gotten there yet. Why do I say so? Look, it is even in the interest of MPP members, and particularly the 8 years of Akufo-Addo rule, to encourage Ken Ofori-Atta to come and account.
Encourage?
Yes, to come and account. Why do I say so? No, senior, please. I don't have so much.
Okay, please.
See, I remember when President Kufuor became president and appointed Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as the Attorney General, among the first cases that he, Nana Addo, as Attorney General, took to court was the quality grade. At that time, the accused persons included Jerry Rawlings' finance minister, because that was the MPP conversation towards the election of 2000, corruption, mismanagement, others, and wanted to get the then finance minister in the dock. At the end of the day, you want a situation where the person who managed the public purse, more so when the president in his inaugural address said, "I shall protect the public purse." Having made that inaugural pledge to the people of Ghana, who else can better face the accountability conversation than your finance minister? So it's even in the interest, the image of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
What is he charged with?
Hold on. Hold on. Okay. So that is the more reason why he should come down. He is your friend. That is why when I heard you say that if you were his lawyer, you would advise him not to come. I say, no, Senior, this is not proper.
Okay.
In fact, that should be an obstruction of justice charge.
What is he charged with today?
Against you.
If they are serious, they should charge him.
No, hold on. But my point is that
the lawyer who is advising his client.
It is important that at this point, it's important that at this point, Ken Ofori-Atta, for the image of the MPP government himself for more than 6 years, to come down himself voluntarily.
What is he charged with today?
Oh, many. Look, there's an investigation on National Cathedral.
Investigation is not a charge.
Oh, that is the more reason why he should come.
Thank you.
So let him come. No. Look, so let him come and account. I don't think the problem is the SP.
Thank you.
I think the problem is Ken Ofori-Atta.
Sure.
Let him wear his white. Let him wear the white cloth. Let him wear the white cloth.
Thank you.
And appear boldly before the good people of this country. Angelic.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Angel
Thank you very much.
Ofori-Atta.
Thank you.
And then speak to the people of this country.
Thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. And thank you.
Not extradition power.
And then, I got a number of messages as well from Dr. Nyawo and others. Thank you so much.